subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Calmly. Isn't she a buckwheat family? Then the theme is the face. Kawashima Rei was surprised and looked at Zhijin. Then he said, puzzled, "Student Lin, you must know that in terms of topic positioning, you are likely to suffer a loss." 39. The voice just fell. I saw Zhijin replied calmly and indifferently. "It's not very likely. It will definitely happen. As a traditional noodle dish with a long history and handed down, you can't win against me, so in order to prevent others from saying that I am bullying the freshmen, let's change the subject. Anything is fine." Zhijin's tone was quite confident. Lin Fan immediately became angry after hearing this. Without waiting for Kawashima Rei to speak, Lin Fan immediately retorted, "A long history? You are in my Greater China. The tradition that counts at every turn is based on the millennium. Come and tell me that it has a long history. I think you are joking. Do noodle dishes, right? Come on, who's afraid of who? I'm afraid that you will be embarrassed if you lose with the banner of traditional cuisine." When Zhijin heard this, her originally expressionless face instantly became angry. "What nonsense are you talking about? My soba dishes will lose to you? Okay, I didn't even mention the noodle cooking because I thought you were a freshman. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant. That's okay. In this halberd showdown, it's decided to cook noodles if you lose. I want you to get out of Tsuki." 35. Zhijin was trembling with anger. Just let the loser drop out of school. Lin Fan still had a calm expression on his face and replied, "If you lose, you will drop out of school, right? Okay, whoever loses will drop out of school. And you are in Tsuki in the name of national noodle dishes. You officially challenge me to Chinese cuisine. This thing will spread throughout the food industry." Zhijin was neat and tidy and immediately responded. Afterwards, the two were not talking or focusing their eyes. They went to the ingredients area, took the ingredients they needed, and returned to the cooking area. Lin Fan stood in front of the cooking table and stretched hard. "Throw. Ask for flour 00. If I had known this earlier, I might as well let them go straight in one breath." Looking back at the council members in the VIP seats, it's just that this group of self-righteous guys will not agree to Lin Fan at all, and they all come up to eat the halberd in one breath. They will think it's bullying. I don't want to think about it anymore. Lin Fan just wants to quickly end this halberd. Then let the classmate in front of you know what it means to have a mountain person and a person outside the mountain. At this time, only Kawashima Rei's embarrassed figure was left on the stage. Seeing her looking left and then looking again, she shrugged and said, "Then, the hour-long battle of eating halberds officially begins." Lin Fan took it easy and took out the prawn, the only living ingredient in the ingredient area. Oh, seeing that he was still calm, he handled the prawn slowly. Compared with the previous, all-fast and unbreakable style, this is really confusing. Kawashima Rei quietly walked over to Lin Fan and asked weakly that, "Student Lin, are you tired from eating halberds one after another?" 35. It's not like your style, it's slowing down. Lin Fan still handles prawns. Separate the shrimp head from the body. Gently remove the head of the shrimp without destroying the head. Carefully, place it on a plate for later use. At this time, Lin Fan had the time to reply and laughed. Not all dishes have to be cooked quickly. For example, this ingredient is being processed at the moment. 35. If you're not careful, you'll lose all your efforts. Kawashima Rei nodded hurriedly and said, "I'm really looking forward to using shrimp brains to make noodles." Lin Fan laughed. "Then let's wait and see." 10 minutes later, Lin Fan was still dealing with the shrimp head in his hand. What is incomprehensible is that Lin Fan even used a carving knife. It looks like something is carved on the head of the shrimp. People really feel that this approach is a waste of time and very outrageous. However, Zhijin needed buckwheat dough from buckwheat flour. Preliminary soba noodles have been formed. Chapter 97 Soul noodles filled with only one noodle. 1/7 for subscription. Yet at this moment, when Lin Fan was still handling the shrimp heads slowly, Ji Jiguaning's buckwheat dough has already taken shape. Kawashima Rei stood aside to watch, expressing confusion. Student Lin, the theme of this session is face. Why do you keep dealing with this shrimp head? You know, half the time has passed. In the last half hour, if you're going to process the flour and then make hand-pulled noodles, is there enough time? Lin Fan looked up and glanced at Rei Kawashima. Smiled. After thinking about it, he still said, as a professional chef, if you can't even control this time well, 99, then I'll just drop out of school. Since I can do this, it is natural to take all the time. So the sentence you asked has no nutrition at all. Kawashima Rei was stunned. Lin Fan is not only arrogant, but also a viper. For the time being, not wanting to make fun of herself, Kawashima Li turned around, preparing to go over to see Ji Jiguaningning. However, right now, when Kawashima Rei just turned around, she heard the exclamations of the 053 students off the field again. From their expressions, Kawashima Rei roughly guessed that it must be Lin Fan who was behind him and did something amazing. As soon as I came back, I saw Lin Fan just for sighting. Bailuo, Snake turns the chain. In front of everyone, he once again demonstrated the unsurpassed skill of blending. Whoosh whoosh, boom boom. This time, Lin Fan's rotation was much larger than last time. In an instant, a strong wind blew up on the field. Kawashima Rei exclaimed. Lin Fan used the Bailuo snake chain again. Last time I thought I didn't see enough. If I had a chance to see it, Kawashima Rei said, and hurriedly took out her mobile phone to take pictures. Click, click in the venue. The sound of the camera is almost synchronized. The last time was too shocking, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. And it was over before they had time to take pictures of this scene. This time, how could this group of people let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Boom, the wind is getting stronger. It even nearly scraped Kawashima Rei's small body. I saw that she quickly grabbed the cooking table and tried her best to keep her balance. Boom, boom, suddenly a familiar scene. A white giant python rose from the ground. This time the speed seems to be twice as fast as last time. The giant python quickly twisted its body and was quickly climbing to the top of the stick. On the field, because of the strong wind caused by the rotation, it is also getting bigger and bigger. In the entire venue, various mobile phones, newspapers, and some ingredients were accidentally scratched. Fly freely in the air. This is comparable to the scene of a hurricane. I really can't wait to swallow everyone present in the next second. My mother. This scene is even more shocking than last time. Lin Fan surprises us every time he prepares the ingredients. 35 in comparison. Ji Jiguaning's side looks much eclipsed. There is no eye-catching technique, nor too experienced ingredients. Everything is so calm. According to the current trend, can Ji Jiguaning still win? Are you sick? Sure, Ji competes in cooking. So what if Lin Fan's skills are great? It doesn't taste good. Anything is useless. But the problem is, Lin Fan's amazing way of handling ingredients is adding texture to the ingredients. 9. I don't know who it is, but the last sentence tells the truth. Seriously thoughtful. The students in the discussion fell into silence. Then someone else added, if it's really like what the student said just now, Ji Jiguaning will be forced to drop out of school when he enters the 3rd year of high school. That's not the most important thing. The point is, this one is a gamble, but it is the traditional cuisine of the country. I can't afford to lose. I really can't afford to lose. As the student spoke, he suddenly became emotional. Seeing him rushing towards the field, Ji Jigua shouted in Ningning's direction. Come on, classmate, Ji Jigua. Beat Lin Fan and let him know how good our country's buckwheat culture is. Wow. As soon as these words were spoken, most of the audience seemed to be instantly beaten with blood. Started to respond. Yeah, come on, Kinakuni, let this self-righteous guy see. Our buckwheat culture is amazing. The traditional food of the country is definitely not lost to him. Although Lin Fan is very good and I'm impressed by his cooking skills, but this time I support Ji Jigua unconditionally. The students are screaming. Ji Jigua, Ning Ning, remained calm from the beginning to the end, did not panic, and only handled the ingredients in a systematic manner. However, it was just when Rei Kawashima came to Lin Fan again. Just happened to Lin Fan's dough and good. I just heard Lin Fan say something indifferent. Buckwheat culture? It seems that there is cultural awareness, selective blindness. Kawashima Rei was shocked and seemed to have discovered some great gossip. So, he hurriedly put the microphone close to him and asked, "The cultural cognition that Lin said just now is what he said?" 35 Lin Fan raised his head and smiled. Buckwheat is native to Central Asia. While it was already planted in early China in ancient times, when you first ate buckwheat, due to the backward milling technology. 99. So just cooked and eaten buckwheat grains. And it's been that way for centuries. It wasn't until the Kamakura period that the Chinese handmade buckwheat flour technology was passed on here. That's where the soba noodles, buckwheat cakes, etc., which are derived later. Is it necessary for them to shout about traditional culture so much? At this moment, the venue was silent for a moment. Even a little embarrassing. Lin Fan's words hit the nail on the head, although everyone heard it and their teeth itched with hatred. But there was absolutely no way to refute it. Not talking anymore. At this moment, they can no longer afford to coax. Lin Fan's words are like a switch, instantly turning off these bloody machines, making them quiet. In the venue, the tranquility at the beginning was restored again. Everyone quietly watched the two people on the field make the dishes. And at this moment, when Lin Fan's words just fell, it didn't matter much. I saw the dough that had been mixed just now. After being quickly pressed by Lin Fan, he tossed it gently with his hands. Then Lin Fan quickly picked up the wooden stick and propped up the spread dough with the stick. Next, rotation, the familiar rotation again. Due to the rapid rotation of the wooden sticks, the spread out area of the dough is getting bigger and bigger. It looks like an umbrella. As the area of the spread surface becomes larger and larger, the rotation speed becomes faster and faster. Boom, boom, the wind was blowing again on the huge face off the court. And this time, Jijigua and Ning Ning couldn't calm down. He looked at Lin Fan in surprise. What is the origin of this person? These ramen skills, let alone never seen, have never even heard of it. Jijigua Ningming whispered in disbelief. I also felt a little uneasy in my heart. Here at Lin Fan, the dough that turns the stick in his hand is getting bigger and bigger. And through the big screen, the only thing that everyone can see is the huge dough that is rotating, and it is getting thinner and thinner as it rotates. Next, something even more unbelievable happened. I saw Lin Fan turning the dough and starting to cut along the edge of the dough. The shaved face threw a graceful arc in the air, instantly flew into the boiling water on the stove. Wow, the crowd unconsciously exclaimed in amazement. What shocked them the most was that Lin Fan never broke the noodles in the process of cutting them. That is to say, until the last chapter of the dough in his hand was cut into the pot. From start to finish, it's just a noodle. When everyone was so shocked that their jaws could not close, Lin Fan calmly walked to the stove and quickly fished out the noodles. Then I saw that he put the shrimp heads that he had prepared for a long time before, which seemed to be wrapped with some stuffing, and put them on the surface together. Subsequently, after covering with a lid, Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "You're done. A bowl of Feilong Jinhua noodles is ready. Please taste it." Everyone said in unison, "Flying dragon? Soul-suppressing face." Kawashima Rei was surprised. So, just now Lin Fan spent a lot of time carving out a shrimp head, which is a dragon head. Is this a bowl of prawn noodles carved out of prawns and prawn meat as accessories? Why is it called Soul Rescue Noodles? The name sounds quite interesting. Kawashima Rei joked like a joke. I saw Lin Fan holding his soul-relieving face and silently walking towards a jury. At this moment, Ning Ning of Jijigua followed closely behind him. After she calmly put down the soba noodles, she said, "This is Jufin soba noodles with top-quality fried shrimps from the Kinokuni style. 9, please try it." Chapter 98 Light. The Flying Dragon Dumplings in the Glow. 2/7 for subscription. The 3 judges looked at it carefully. Jiziguo Ningning's soba noodles are very peaceful. It also looks very simple. Soba noodles are placed on the food box. After simple seasoning, mix well. It is a cold, noodle-like existence. Serve with fried shrimp. At this time, Nakiri Senzaman said, "The two of you have a very tacit understanding, and both chose shrimp, but..." Before Nakiri Senzaman finished speaking, he watched Lin Fan's cooking. After all, the noodle bowl is covered with a lid, so you can't see the inside at all. So, Nakiri Senzaman subconsciously picked up the soba noodles made by Ning Ning of Kinokuni. Instinct made the old man smell it subconsciously. Then he sighed, "Not bad, as expected of being born in a buckwheat family. Although this soba noodles don't have too many seasonings, just smelling the fragrance makes people feel refreshed." Saying that, Nakiri Senzaman took a handful and ate it in his mouth. The two judges next to them also picked up the soba noodles and ate them carefully. Kijigua's buckwheat noodles didn't put too many spices in it, just relying on the fragrant taste of buckwheat itself. "This is the core of this dish," Nakiri Senzaman said, and picked up another piece of fried shrimp. After taking a bite of 08, click a crisp cracking sound. It was clearly picked up into the microphone. Hearing the audience, they swallowed hard. Then, Nakiri Senzaman said calmly, "The soba itself doesn't have much taste. However, the focus is on the fried shrimp, which has a crispy shell. And after one bite, the tender shrimp inside and the gravy melt into the mouth immediately. 99. It's a bit addicting to pair it with the soba noodles that had a lingering fragrance from before. Yummy. Really delicious." Nakiri Senzaman kept complimenting. Another judge also lamented, "It's true. I have eaten so many soba noodles, and Kizi country is indeed a first-class soba family." 33. In this country, the country of Kizi has to say that the technology of soba noodles ranks second, but I dare to say that no one can say that it is the first. The judge on the side nodded and said, "Indeed, the unique fragrance of buckwheat itself. If this flavor is not well controlled, it will cause a very bad taste. That's also the hardest part about buckwheat. I've eaten countless buckwheat noodles, and they either overdo it or they're too bland, without the soul of buckwheat. However, Kinokuni's soba has brought out the soul of soba. This is the fried shrimp. If it is paired with it, it will not cause mediocre dishes due to the singleness of the buckwheat itself. In a word, classmate Jijigua, there is already a figure of the master of buckwheat in his country." At this time, the judge looked at Lin Fan's face again. One of the judges asked, "Student Lin, this face of yours, what kind of dragon are you talking about?" Nakiri Senzaman replied with help, "Flying dragon soul relief face." The judge was a little embarrassed and explained, "Oh, I didn't hear all at once. Is it because the head of a shrimp is carved into the shape of a dragon? I saw in the blink of an eye when you finally set the plate, but seeing that you put the lid on again, there's no way to see this dish intuitively right away. 99. So that's under the lid. What's the point?" Lin Fan smiled calmly. "It's really important, because when you open it, it will bring a different sense of impact to people's senses. And there will be a double shock of taste and vision." 9. Saying that, Lin Fan quickly lifted the lid of his face. Wow, the moment the lid is opened, as expected, thick water vapor burst out. However, surprisingly, suddenly, a golden light quickly pierced through the fog. While the crowd has not yet reacted, golden light burst out from the fog in all directions. Wow, there was an uproar in the field. Obviously, this is just the beginning. Another sudden, amid the fog and golden light, he vaguely stared at a dragon, just like the Baluo snake before, instantly broke through the golden light and mist, and stood upright in the middle of the noodle bowl. Just look at the three judges. Nakiri Senzaman exclaimed, "It's the dragon head!" Wow, in the originally quiet venue, the students couldn't help screaming again. "It's a dragon! A dragon stands in the noodle bowl!" As expected, Lin Fan has worked hard and spent a lot of time carving shrimp heads. And this is the faucet. 35, hey. Dazzling. So dazzling golden light. But I can't help but want to see this dragon. This Lin Fan is omnipotent. He can fight and cook, and his knife skills are good. Now he can even carve? Is there another person who can't? This is too ridiculous. The key is, why does this dragon stand up? Noodle, there was an uproar, and the venue was extremely boiling. Nakiri Senzaman was even more surprised. Holding back the golden light, he took a closer look. The dragon was in the mist, and the dragon's body was wrapped in the skin. Through the paper-thin dough, you can clearly see the filling inside. Should be shrimp, Nakiri Senzaman said in surprise. Then he expressed his confusion. Why does a dragon made of prawns stand up? In such a vivid picture, is there any special material added to the noodles? So, this is a visual show. Will that affect the taste of the food? I'm definitely not going to give points alone for the visual feast. The cooking itself is the core of the ultimate goal, Lin Fan said with a smile. Senior, don't worry, it won't affect you. Saying that, he pointed to Dragon 053 standing on his face. When everyone saw it again, they found that after the steam had dissipated, the dragon was lying on his face quietly. At first glance, this is a dish with very exquisite carvings, looking and mouth-watering. Lin Fan laughed. That's why I cover the prawns with a lid after they come out of the pan, because only in this way, when the shrimp meat wrapped in the dough is subjected to internal pressure, the moment the lid is opened. After being heated, the flying dragon dumplings will suddenly expand and create a three-dimensional effect. At this moment, it will be like a dragon-like visual sense. 35 Nakiri Senzaman clapped his hands and sighed. It's amazing. I can even think of this. Then apply it to cooking. So, invisibly, it not only adds a visual sense to the ramen, but also increases the taste. 35, the idea is really good. However, you said that this bowl of noodles is called Qinglong Jinshun noodles. When I understood what Qinglong said, it was the Qinglong dumplings you just said. Then this soul-suppressing face. Lin Fan smiled calmly. That's what I'm going to say next. 39, the core soul of this bowl of noodles. Soul, as the name suggests, it's a noodle that will instantly feel good about whoever eats this noodle. Nakiri Senzaman said in surprise, after eating delightful noodles. Chapter 99, is it okay to control people's hearts? March 7th for subscription. Noodles that make people feel happy after eating? Nakiri Senzaman said in disbelief. The judges on the side also said, yes, there is such a magical face in this world. But then again, good food has a magic power. That is, after eating it, it will make the eater feel comfortable. So, I don't think it's surprising at all. Another judge nodded and said, yes, indeed. As long as it is a delicious dish, it has this effect, but it is worth mentioning that the flying dragon dumplings are really good. 35, however, Nakiri Senzaman, judging by his experience. Things may not be so simple. Nakiri Senzaman said calmly. If that's the case, there's no way Lin Fan would say that. 35, since this aspect has such a great effect, then I want to see what kind of calming method it is. Saying that, Nakiri Senzaman picked up the noodle bowl and ate a small amount into his mouth. However, Nakiri Senzaman, since eating the noodles, there was no ups and downs in his expression, and I saw that he had been sucking noodles. As if this bowl of noodles is not exhausted. As long as you don't have to bite your teeth, you can eat it endlessly. This taste, Nakiri Senzaman, starts with Yunmai and can't stop. When the two judges on the side saw this, they also hurriedly tasted it. As soon as the noodles are eaten, the reaction is exactly the same as Nakiri Senzaman. At this time, the field was extremely quiet and harmonious, as if this was not a battle of halberds, but it's some cheerful party. The three judges kept their heads down and ate the noodles. Lin Fan said with a smile, Soul noodles are made from only one noodle. No matter how long it is boiled, it will never break. Whether you're angry, or agitated, as long as you eat this soul-suppressing noodle, you will be relieved immediately when you are in a bad mood. Is not it? Lin Fan said, aiming at Nakiri Senzaman. I saw that Zaman was still eating the soul-retaining noodles, and he didn't want to stop. All the hot eyes were on him, which made the old man a little embarrassed. Lin Fan's bowl of soul-relieving noodles really has an irresistible charm. There is absolutely no way for him to stop. At this time, Nakiri Senzaman, before he died, suddenly slapped the table and burst into a state when he was eating delicious food. Instead, calm down. But being calm doesn't mean he doesn't approve of this dish. It is precisely because of the effect of the soul-relieving noodles that Nakiri Senzamen, when eating delicious food, has a new reflection when interpreting it. Calm. At this moment, Nakiri Senzamen is very calm. The whole person is in a relaxed state. In one breath, I finished this bowl of soul rescue noodles. Until the last bite, there was only one noodle in the bowl, and it never broke. Then, see Nakiri Senzamen, a face that has never been softer. Like the kind old grandpa next door. With gentle eyes, he said softly, "I have lived most of my life. Never have I felt so relaxed in body and mind as this moment. It felt like I was on a calm lake, and I was alone, lying on a stationary boat. I was lying on the deck, looking up at the blue sky and white clouds. The warm sun shines on my face. Everything is so warm. At this moment, a gust of wind is blowing, and it rustles in my ears. On this tranquil lake, I felt unprecedented peace, without a trace of emotion in my heart. I just want to go on like this, always, always," Nakiri Senzamen said intoxicatedly. Bystanders only saw his expression, but did not know what he was thinking and what he saw in his mind. I just think that a bowl of noodles can actually make the eater have such a feeling. It must not be a fairy-like cooking. Then, I saw the two judges next to Nakiri Senzamen. It was also in a state of self-consciousness. The eyes are gentle, and the expression is happy. Zhijin Ning, who was beside Lin Fan, immediately realized that something was wrong. He frowned, looked at Lin Fan, and said, "This is too exaggerated. Did you put something illegal and prohibited in the cooking? Otherwise, is this too fantastic?" Lin Fan smiled. "You don't know. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, okay? If you question it, it only proves your short-sightedness." 55. Jigua Ningning expressed dissatisfaction. As a child with good living conditions and traditional education, she was born with her own advantages. Even if she thinks that Lin Fan's performance in these few halberd eating games is already quite amazing. In any case, being a respectable opponent, it is impossible to despise him. But it was Jigua Ningning's sense of superiority. She thought it was Lin Fan who offended her sense of superiority. Before Lin Fan appeared, until just this moment, Jigua Ning is still the same, a chef with very high attainments in buckwheat cooking. The family is the pride of the country. However, it was at this moment, when the judges ate the soul rescue noodles, Jigua Ningning felt that she was hit. She, who has been superior since childhood, never thought that she would lose to Lin Fan and soba noodles. The same as a bowl of clear soup noodles, also with shrimp. Why can Lin Fan cook such amazing dishes? Jigua Ningning is more difficult to accept. Such dissatisfaction finally broke out after reaching its peak. I saw Jigua Ningning picked up another bowl of soul-relieving noodles. Seems to be ready to taste. Before trying it out, she was still calm and unconvinced when she saw her. "I don't believe it anymore." Without special means, after eating it, there will really be such an exaggerated reaction? Saying that, without hesitation, he ate it into his mouth. The moment the noodles were imported, Jigua Ningning was not surprised, not shocked, and not shocked. It seems that she has no emotions at this moment. I was restless and unconvinced just now, and the moment I ate this noodles, I got just the right comfort. The noodles smoothed out those great waves inside her. At this moment, Jigua Ningning felt relaxed. Without the honor and mission of the family, and under the cruel system of Totsuki, the students were not motivated to fight to the death. Everything is so peaceful. The heart is like a pool of stagnant water, so quiet and beautiful. Is this the feeling that the Chinese people often say that the years are quiet and good? Jigua Ningning blurted out calmly. For her to say such words, everyone off the field widened their eyes in shock. However, Jigua Ningning still had that calm expression. "There is absolutely no tsundere just now." Kawashima Rei was surprised. What's going on?" 35. Is it really because I ate this bowl of soul-suppressing noodles, the whole person was redeemed? Lin Fan smiled calmly. "You can understand that too, no problem." Jing. Wow, everyone was surprised. However, there was no discussion, and everyone did not want to interrupt this beautiful and harmonious scene at the moment. Afterwards, after Jigua Ning Ning ate the end of the soul rescue noodle, the whole person, without any emotion, putting down the bowl, Jigua Ning Ning didn't hate Lin Fan anymore. It feels amazing. It's not at all like what he said before. It's caused by some illegal ingredients. Seeing this, Lin Fan indicated that there were also the flying dragon dumplings. Jigua Ning Ning didn't reject it, and according to Lin Fan's words, he took a bite. Wow. If it is said, the soul-relieving noodles can make people feel calm and become calm, then these flying dragon dumplings are to make these emotions and desires of her return again. What's even more surprising is that when these emotions came back again, Jigua Ningning found that she didn't hate Lin Fan anymore. On the contrary, it is the admiration from the heart. How can you make such a powerful dish? A dish that can directly hit the heart of the eater is amazing. So, before the judges made their comments, Jigua Ningning made a decision that she thought was crazy. Jigua Ningning said calmly, "I know, after I say this, you will definitely be shocked. But I still have to say first, I lost." Wow. At this time, the suppressed emotions in the audience erupted in an all-round way. What? The judges haven't voted yet, and Ningning of Jigua admits defeat by himself? Lovely how? What kind of lousy plot is this? TV dramas dare not write it like this. It's too surprising for us. Is the domestic soba noodles so vulnerable? I admit defeat. What else can I do? Let's see what the judges have to say. If one of the judges votes for her, I swear from now on, I will not touch the soba in the country. Everyone, put their hopes on the 3 judges. Everyone wants to know what the outcome will be. Nakiri Senzaman was the first to say, "I vote for Lin Fan," and put aside the ethereal comments that are pleasing. On the basis of the characteristics of the cooking itself, Kitsukuni soba noodles are very good. 35, but this soba, in an open air-conditioned venue, this flavor is extremely difficult to spread. This is the biggest flaw of this dish. As for Lin Fan's, it's so perfect that I can't go wrong at all. After finishing speaking, the 2 judges also said, "Yes, I was just about to say this. I also vote for Lin Fan." Same, I also want to vote for Lin Fan. Wow, another uproar. However, the professional judges all gave reasons for not voting. Then, next, wait for the fate of Jigua Ningning. Chapter 100, Dessert Cuisine. Can't you? 4/7 for subscription. Next, what awaits Jigua Ningning will be the fate of dropping out. After the 3 judges will vote out, the audience is boiling. Jigua just lost like this? I still don't believe it. That's a big man in the buckwheat world. This is not a competition between students and students. This is a showdown between Chinese cuisine and neon cuisine. What else can I say? Why did I give up after eating a bowl of noodles? I can't figure it out. What happened? Is that bowl of noodles really so magical? Our country's traditional buckwheat genre has just lost. So sad. This can only show that Lin Fan's strength is indeed very strong. There is no need to cheat the judges. This can't happen at all. There was a mournful voice from the field. After Jigua Ningning ate the shrimp dumplings, her mood seemed to come back. However, at this time, her mind was full of the scene of eating the soul-suppressing noodles just now, and she was still not satisfied. Lost. So unconditionally speaking it out. Jigua Ningning looked at Lin Fan and said, "You are amazing. Soul-suppressing noodles. It really lives up to its reputation." 35. It really can make people feel completely calm after eating it. 99. This also allowed me to calm down for the first time and think about the previous bits and pieces. On the road of food, maybe I still have a lot of unfinished road to go. Jigua Ningning finished speaking calmly, not talking. At this time, Kawashima Relay broke the embarrassment in front of her. What I want to say is, unfortunately, according to the rules agreed before eating the halberd, if Jigua loses, then she will. Rei Kawashima was a little sad and continued, "She will drop out of Suki." Wow. The discussion became more pronounced. No matter how unacceptable this is, it is the truth. Jigua Ningning, Zhang Jin's 6th seat of Suki Elite 10, was eliminated by a new student. As for Zhijin Ningming himself, no one knows. But what everyone knows is that since then, Lin Fan has set the historical record of Totsuki. At this time, the elite 10 who were watching from the VIP seats were already restless. Akakubo Tao was the first to say, "Ah, what kind of monster is this Lin Fan? Do you want to eat the halberd?" Totsuki Megashima wore a knitted hat and said silently for a moment, "What is there to be afraid of?" 55. Lin Fan, this kid, after so many fights, I actually developed a strong interest in him. 95. Seeing now, he is not only highly skilled in Chinese cooking, especially in making ramen dishes. In this way, it seems to be interesting. Akakubo Momo understood what this meant. Totsuki Megashima made it clear that he wanted to compete with Lin Fan with ramen. By the owners of Japanese ramen shops, they are honored as the master of ramen, and this title is not given for nothing. Even seeing how strong the opponent is and how to use those shocking cooking skills. In Megashima Totsuki's heart, he is the strongest in the ramen world. There is nothing wrong with this, because Totsuki Megashima hopes to meet Lin Fan, and he has no burden in his heart at all. This is his innate confidence. Akakubo Momo, holding her puppet bear, never stopped while watching the halberd, including now, which guy proposed to eat halberds one by one. Kobayashi Rindo smiled and said, "The person who proposed has been kicked out of Totsuki himself." Afterwards, Eishi Tsukasa smiled gracefully. "I told you all the time. It's better to concentrate on studying the cooking and listen to the voices of the ingredients rather than calling and calling. It's all over for this. Do you want to apply for withdrawal? Anyway, I don't care. I wasn't interested in you eating halberds. In this way, I still have some time to do other things, really busy." 55. Tofu Megashima calmly said, "That won't work." Kobayashi Jinshin shrugged his shoulders. Akakubo Tao sighed and said, Next, I'm going to eat halberds with him. I had no idea what it would be like. After watching so many games, my heart is still beating with a puff up to now. If I win, I will feel that I'm bullying the children, and if I lose, I will be ashamed. It was really useless at the time, so I agreed when I couldn't think about it. Speaking of which, Akakubo Momo thought of ideals and bit her puppet bear. Then he said angrily, "If this is the case, then so be it." After a short rest, Kawashima Rei still returned to the middle of the stage. Seeing her still smiling, she said, "I'm really sorry for the last halberd. Currently, there are only 4 members of the council. Will Lin Fan beat them all the way and finally take the top spot before the fall season? Or rather, stop here? These are all possible. Well, I would like to ask Lin Fan, do you want to continue the competition? If you go further down, it may become more and more difficult. If we say that we abstain at this time, in fact, we can all understand." Kawashima Rei looked at Lin Fan. Lin Fan laughed. "Abstain? 35. There is no such word in my dictionary. And, okay, why abstain? Thinking I'm going to lose? 39. Don't worry, I won't lose. By the way, I didn't buy my classmates who lost before. You may have to spend money." Wow, this remark caused a commotion among the students off the field. Losing the money? If you die, stop to the chief. Although Lin Fan is strong, Eishi Tsukasa is stronger. If the Elite 10 is really wiped out, I even doubt that they have let the water go. Yeah, that's outrageous. Although Lin Fan's abilities are so powerful we haven't seen before, but that's Eishi Tsukasa. That's it. Come on, Elite 10. Otherwise, I'll really lose my A. Amidst the chatter, Akakubo Momo held her puppet bear and walked onto the stage. This spontaneous, petite girl, naturally afraid of life, after meeting Lin Fan, he was less active in the VIP seats. A little nervous, even trying to avoid focusing on Lin Fan's eyes. At this time, Kawashima Rei was very skilled, and before Akakubo Momo spoke, she picked out the theme. Holding it in her hand, Kawashima Rei said with a smile, "The theme of this show turned out to be dessert." After speaking, she looked at Akakubo Tao in surprise. "I swear, this is absolutely not fake. When it comes to dessert dishes, it's almost like it was made for Akakubo Momo." Here is the lovely dividing line, chapter 101 rose syrup? Lin Fan sweet makes you tired as for dessert. Isn't this specially made for a Kiko-san? Kawashima Rei said. At this moment, Akane Kubo Tao seemed to be used to standing on the stage and let go of her nervousness. A quick look at Lin Fan and suddenly leaned in past. This little lowly, holding a puppet bear, is staring at him with a cute expression. Lin Fan. After a while, Akakubo Tao suddenly laughed. Ah, Kobayashi, did you have a relationship with the council before? However, there were too many people and the atmosphere was too special, so I couldn't take a good look at you. I just noticed you. Oh my, this little boy is really handsome. And the cooking skills are amazing, but I've watched every meal of yours carefully, on dessert dishes. Xiao Lin, don't think it's senior sister who is bullying you. Akakubo Momo made a cute look. After seeing Kawashima Rei, she was stunned. Still thinking in my heart, Akakubo Tao is even cuter than her. However, he quickly regained his senses and said with a smile, Student Akira actually called classmate Lin Xiaolinlin. Speaking of which, Kawashima Lee pretended to be mysterious and said, It is said that, when Akiko-san talks to people who are inferior to her cooking skills, she will give people cute nicknames. 35-foot Akakubo Momo smiled, hugged the bear, did not speak, and walked to the ingredients area. Kawashima Rei gossip added, Looks like the rumors are true. At this time, Akane Kubo Tao turned back and smiled. It is an honor for Xiao Linlin to be defeated by my cute dessert. 35. In the last duel, Xiao Linlin's soul-relieving face can bring joy. 35. I also want to say that my desserts can also achieve this effect. So, Xiao Linlin, can you make desserts too? Can you make sweets that are cute and pleasant to eat? Hehehe. Saying that, Akikobo Momo began to choose the ingredients. After Lin Fan heard this, he smiled and walked silently to Akikobo Tao's side. Little Peaches. Akikobo Momo was surprised and turned to look at Lin Fan in surprise. Lin Fan continued to laugh. Don't be surprised, Little Peach. This nickname is very nice, and it suits you very well. This is also the nickname I gave you when I was talking to a senior who is less capable than me. Lin Fan's words had a taste of guilt. Akikubo Tao was stunned. Never a freshman dared to call her that, and even gave her a nickname. So, Akikubo pouted and said, Boy, do you know what you're talking about? Do you know who you were talking to at the moment? As soon as the desserts I make are uploaded on the internet, they will be sought after by netizens and even hit the hot search list. Also, as long as it's the clothes, toys, etc. that I've been lucky enough to pick. It will become sought after by thousands of fans, and it will also become a hot-selling product in major shopping malls. 35. Therefore, many leaders in the industry have thrown olive branches like me and offered very good positions, but I rejected them all and came to Totsuki Academy. Luo, even so, don't treat me like an ordinary student. I am in the dessert industry and have very high qualifications. Watch how you talk to me. After Lin Fan heard this, he calmly smiled and said, Is it very powerful? I know a little bit about your desserts. Are they cute? Are you too inclined to impose your personal will on others? 35. Since it's a competition, just now I had a very good idea. Let you see and see. There's an essential difference between your cuteness and the cuteness that is really sweet to the heart. Akikubo Momo looked at Lin Fan in surprise. It took a long time to laugh out loud. Ha ha. It's really ridiculous to say it. 99. You're a big boy. Do you know what a girl is sweet and cute? Then I'm really looking forward to it. Akikubo Momo was about to turn around, but was stopped by Lin Fan again. Lin Fan laughed. We all forgot to mention the price of eating halberds. Let me say the conditions first. If Xiao Taozi loses, then wear a cute maid outfit and join my cooking club. 35. Ask for flowers 00 and there is also here in not only to join the club, from now on, whenever you see me, you must respect me as the master. In this way, it's not in vain that you like cuteness so much. Lin Fan said sarcastically. Akikubo Momo frowned and bit her puppet bear ears. I can't wait to tear the bear ears apart. He also looked at Lin Fan angrily and replied, UBD, Too much. I won't lose. After you lose, you will also be my servant. Akakubo Tao pouted and said angrily. Lin Fan shrugged and smiled. Okay, no problem. Afterwards, he instantly put away his playful expression, looked serious, and began to choose ingredients. Lychee, honey tea, cream. Lin Fan quickly went through in his head, then moved skillfully, took the ingredients into the basket, and then returned to the cooking table. When Akakubo Momo passed by, she glanced at it and said with a smile, I don't think so. According to my keen observation, your selection of materials is really interesting. I just pull out my homemade rose syrup, and I'm sure people can't stop eating it. Just take a sip, and it will be sweet enough to have a good mood all day long. Come on, little boy. But that doesn't change the fact that you want to be my servant. After speaking, Akakubo Momo stomped back to her cooking area. Rose syrup, isn't it? Wait for you to taste it. What is it called? Sweet syrup? Lin Fan replied indifferently. I never thought about it, but Akakubo Momo listened to this. She is serious, so he pouted and said, Since you said so, I want to see and see. Then I'll see what kind of syrup you've made. It's better than my rose syrup. Before the whole dessert is finished, I will give you a slap in the face and let you know how good I am. Then, Akakubo Momo smiled proudly, tied the waistband, and started to make it. Chapter 102 Super Sweet and Greasy Lychee Honey versus Damascus Rose Syrup. 6/7 for subscription. Akakubo Momo began to make it seriously, peeling rose petals one by one. My rose syrup, it's a super sweet syrup like no other, she mumbles as she handles it. As long as you take a sip, your body's dopamine will skyrocket, and you will be extremely happy. Akakubo Momo's way of talking seriously is cute. I don't care what other people think at all. I just immerse myself in my own world. While making syrup, I suddenly saw her walking to the side of the puppet bear. Grab her beloved Butch, grab her hands, and pull the cart hard. Boy, a sound of fabric tearing. I saw the two hands of the puppet bear were torn off by Momo Akubo. Afterwards, the cloth wombat's hand were used as heat-insulating gloves, and he put on the 053 hand and went to get the stove that was making the syrup on the fire. And Lin Fan is peeling lychees. A2-3, after patiently peeling them off, put them in ice water. All in all, everything is very nuanced. Kawashima Rei, who was watching from the sidelines, inevitably shook her head and sighed. It's amazing how a boy can be so meticulous. 99 insert a digression here like Lin Fan, a handsome boy with good cooking skills, by the way. There's still a lot of gold. My future girlfriend will definitely be super happy. After Kawashima Rei finished speaking, she felt a burst of shame. Then he quickly explained, Oh, I just said this casually, but it's not that I have any idea. Lin Fan was surprised, raised his head, and glanced at her. I saw Rei Kawashima's swoosh, and her face was flushed red all the way to the roots of her ears. In order to ease the embarrassment, Rei Kawashima turned around and strode towards the Akakubo Peach cuisine area. I saw Akakubo Peach at this time. The syrup has almost been boiled. With the aroma of rose petals, it slowly spreads out. Kawashima Rei was surprised. It's the fragrance of rose petals. I can smell the sweetness just standing here. This syrup must be delicious. I'm really looking forward to the dessert that Akiko-san made with it. After listening to Kawashima Rei's praise, Akakubo Momo was even more confident. He picked up a small spoon, dipped a little rose syrup from the pot, and handed it to Rei Kawashima. Then he smiled and said, You can try it, although it still lacks the heat, but now the taste is very good. I guarantee that after you taste it, the girl's heart will overflow. But be careful with the heat. Akakubo Momo said and made a cute face. Kawashima Rei took the rose syrup, looked at it, and smelled it again subconsciously. It sure smells good. Gently blowing twice, carefully tasted. Click the moment your tongue touches the syrup. In Kawashima Rei's head, an arc quickly straightened. The floral fragrance of roses spreads to the whole mouth instantly. There's also the sweet syrup that melts the taste of rose petals. This taste is like flying. At this moment, I seem to be in a rose bush. Oh no. I seem to be a rose elf, gathering honey from these petals every day. 35. That's the feeling. The taste of this syrup is so sweet that I am full of happiness. Kawashima Rei kept praising her. I think Akakubo peaches syrup is simply too delicious. After all, teenagers love desserts. Akakubo Momo looked like she was bound to win and smiled. Is there anyone who knows the cuteness of girls better than me? Kawashima Rei smiled. At this time, I could vaguely smell the fragrance of lychees. Looking back, there is no doubt that it was Lin Fan who was also making the syrup. Kawashima Rei was surprised and strode over. Seeing Lin Fan, he smiled and said, "This is a relationship with honey." Lin Fan smiled and replied, "Yes, but there are other combinations." This super sweet lychee syrup is not only full of happiness after eating, but also tastes the taste of first love. Kawashima Rei looked surprised, but she didn't quite believe it. After all, just now, Akinakubo Momo made a perfect syrup. Lin Fan also picked up a small spoon, dipped a little, and handed it to Rei Kawashima. Kawashima Rei took it in her hand and smelled it. The fragrance of lychee and the fragrance of rose petals are two completely different flavors. The moment she smelled the lychee, the sweet and delicious lychee appeared in Kawashima Rei's mind. After soaking in ice water, the tender and juicy pulp is also irresistible. So, I subconsciously took a sip. Boom, in Kawashima Rei's mind. The river instantly turned overturned. The lychee honey after this entrance seems to be reunited with a lover after experiencing a terrible disaster. It's even a green campus, the smell of holding a small hand at night, without guessing. Such a sense of picture lingers in Kawashima Rei's mind. It's really shocking. As a bystander, I didn't quite understand why Lin Fan's cooking always convinced the judges. And now, she finally has the answer. Kawashima Lee was shocked. This lychee honey, so sweet. It's the taste of love 0.0 love. The ratio of honey and lychee is perfect, and in the end, they blend together perfectly. This taste, I haven't tasted Lin Fan's finished product yet. I have already carved it in my mind. It's the taste of first love after eating it. 35, it's so sweet, it's so sweet. Here is the cute dividing line, chapter 103, I can fight. Lychee-style Melaleuca cake, 7/7 for subscription. The students off the field have been suppressed for a long time. After all, from the beginning to the end, there was no sound, and I watched it carefully. Until even Kawashima Rei tasted it. She could not escape the law of true fragrance. This cannot help but let the students boil again. Even Kawashima Rei can't be spared. Lin Fan's cooking is really so good. Can someone explain to me? Who are the members of their club? This classmate, I'm very responsible to tell you, it's true. I just thought that Lin Fan was just a rookie king, but I never thought that he could challenge Elite 10. Looking at Rei Kawashima's reaction, wouldn't it be Akakubo Momo who was also killed? Go, go, go. No crow's mouth. I bought Akakubo Peach to win, after all. I bet this big-footed guy can't make desserts. However, for now, his desserts have captured Rei Kawashima's heart. 35 the students were chatting wildly. However, at this time, Akakubo Momo was carefully handling the ingredients. And I couldn't help her doubts. Put down the kitchen utensils in your hand, and don't care what other people think. He quickly trotted to Lin Fan and said, "Give me a taste." Lin Fan was stunned and handed her the small spoon. Akakubo Momo took the spoon in her hand, but slowly brought her nose closer. Haven't tasted it yet. Shocked. I saw her body suddenly froze. 08 to be exact. It should be shocked. Just a simple lychee syrup. What's up? Akakubo Momo sniffed again. Suddenly, the taste of lychee sublimates instantly. Before eating it, she seemed to have already felt the sweetness of this lychee. It is no exaggeration to say, just like what Rei Kawashima said just now. Smell is the sweet taste of love. At this moment, Akakubo Momo had a picture in her mind. As if standing in a sea of lychee flowers at the moment, in front of him stood the Prince Charming in her fantasy. Wearing a gentleman's suit, she was carrying Momo Akubo on her back. And this Prince Charming, holding a bunch of flowers in his hand, said softly, "You are the one who is destined for me." Akakubo Peach's body exudes a strong lychee fragrance. This sentence made her heart melt. Prince Charming turned around slowly. It turned out to be Lin Fan. The taste of this honey syrup is the taste of Lin Fan. The fragrance of lychee is too sweet. So sweet that it is too greasy. Akakubo Momo kept fantasizing in her mind. Fantasy into a state of bursting clothes. However, all this was seen by Lin Fan. Although I was a little surprised, and I was reflecting on whether I had too much medicine. Just smell it. But soon, Lin Fan felt normal again. After all, is to let this little lowly know who is the most powerful person. Everyone present was not only surprised, but also couldn't understand Akikobo Tao's exaggerated reaction. What's the matter? You can tell if it tastes good just by smelling it. Akikobo Momo really wants to eat halberd with Lin Fan in this state. Absolutely, Akiko-san, don't lose. I bet all my belongings, so I'm very embarrassed. Yeah, I also bet Akikobo Momo to win. After all, it's decided that Lin Fan is at a disadvantage in cute-style cooking. I never thought. This person is actually a monster? How can he do anything? The students expressed disbelief. Even the judges on the jury were shocked. One of the judges said, "This Lin Fan is indeed a malleable talent, and Tsuki is even more powerful when he has him." Another judge said, "I have a bold idea. The level of this kid Lin Fan has surpassed all the students in the school. Even, I think that if he were to be released to compete with professional chefs now, he would definitely not be at a disadvantage." Nakiri Senzaman thought for a while, then calmly said, "That's true." Lin Fan was really unexpected. I originally thought that he might be defeated in the halberd battle with Elite 10. If you have a character like this, if you always have such an arrogant tone and do things arrogantly, I'm afraid you will suffer in the future. So, this absurd halberd duel was not stopped. 35, instead, encourage him to eat the halberd as much as possible and let the Elite 10 eat the halberd with him. If you lose, I will teach him a lesson. But now it seems that I still underestimate Lin Fan's strength. This is completely beyond my expectations. I didn't expect it. Looks like the plan has changed again. Nakiri Senzaman muttered to himself. The two judges next to him only understood the first half. As for the back, what plans are not planned, they have absolutely no idea what the old man is talking about. But he didn't care and continued to watch this halberd battle. On the field, Akikobo Momo held a spoon in her hand and was surprised by her own reflection just now. Just simple lychee syrup. How can it be so tempting? If you give her this recipe, Akikobo Momo believes that she will definitely be able to cook a unique dessert. At this moment, Lin Fan saw Akikobo Momo in a daze and waved his hand in front of her eyes. Akane Kubo Momo came back to her senses. Seeing the syrup in the spoon in my hand again, I couldn't help but want to taste it. Akikobo Momo's heart was tangled again. If she continues to taste like this, she thinks she will lose. So, can't. Absolutely not. Akikobo Momo was struggling in her heart until finally, seeing her put the spoon back where she was, she didn't try. He turned around and went back to his cooking table. Akikobo Momo thought, can't be influenced by Lin Fan. There are many lessons learned ahead, all because they're taken lightly. The point is, they all seem to be disturbed by Lin Fan, and before it was over, their mentality collapsed. So, Akikobo Momo took a deep breath. She was determined not to be influenced. Otherwise, the price of losing Shurji would be more uncomfortable than dropping her out of school. It's just killing. Time passed by little in a tense atmosphere. In the area of Akikobo Peach, the fragrance of apples floats. However, Lin Fan's side, apparently, is the lychee flavor. The two used different fruits to interpret the dessert. This made everyone on the scene look forward to it. There is still half an hour before the deadline. Akikobo Momo putting her apple pie in the oven. Then he breathed a deep sigh of relief, and then just waited for the baptism of time. On Lin Fan's side, seeing him is also doing the final finishing touches. As seen on the big screen, he is making a layer cake. The thin egg skin fried in the pan is layered layer after layer. After the fruit pulp is flattened, another layer of egg skin is covered, which is another layer of fruit. It repeats infinitely like this, a 1,000-layer cake that is superimposed. Ding, at this moment, The oven on Akakubo Momo's side made a sound. I saw the moment she opened the oven. The aroma of apple tart bursts out powerfully. All the students off the field were startled by the sweet aroma and applauded one by one. Lin Fan sighed after covering the last layer of egg skin is finally done. A. Place the puff pastry on a tray and serve it with a drink. There's also an exquisite small wooden box next to it, but it is not clear what is inside. Afterwards, Lin Fan walked to the jury with his dessert. Everyone, this is what the lychee series I made. Lychee honey puff pastry, paired with lychee oolong honey tea. Please try it. Lin Fan said confidently. She couldn't help but glance at Akakubo Momo next to her. Akakubo Momo also confidently put down the dessert and said, "This is what I made in 053, the apple pie with Damascus rose sugar." The voice fell. The three judges leaned forward and carefully observed the dessert they made in front of them. Nakiri Senzama nodded and said, "Lin Fan is also good at desserts." Saying that, look carefully. Lin Fan's lychee layer cake, as the name suggests, has cream and lychee pulp on each layer. And the top layer, the lychee honey that was refined just now, was surrounded by a layer of snow-white cream. Looks very appetizing. Nakiri Senzaman moved his gaze to the oolong tea beside him. Lin Fan saw that he was a little puzzled and smiled. This lychee oolong tea, I made a combination of multiple tastes. 35, Senior sees them in different colors because at the bottom, I used refined lychee honey as the base. 9 on the top layer, I used lychee jelly made from lychees. On the top layer, it's lychee-flavored oolong tea. At last, I used the sea salt milk cap to make this drink a closed loop. This is the lychee flavor, multiple tastes as one, lychee oolong honey tea. After Lin Fan finished speaking, Momo Akubo was stunned. He looked at Lin Fan with a surprised expression, looked at his desserts, and looked at his own. Akakubo Tao instantly felt that she had already done a very high-end job. Why in front of Lin Fan's dessert? She dared to think of a cheap beggar version. At this time, the three judges glanced at Akane Kubo Momo's apple pie. Subconsciously, he decisively picked up the table knife and slashed the lychee layer cake. Cute dividing line. Chapter 104 promoted to the 4th seat. Pick up a free made by the way. 1/7 for subscription. Cut the knife from the middle of the lychee puff pastry. Swish soft like a sponge. Nakiri Senzaman was a little surprised by the layers of egg skins that were covered. At the moment when the knife is squeezed, the tempting cream bursts out instantly. However, what is more exaggerated is the layer of lychee honey on the top of the cake, surrounded by cream in the middle. After being cut out, the fragrant, sticky lychee honey dripped down the surface of the cake little by little. Looking at it, it will make people feel that they can't wait to take a bite and taste it. After cutting a piece to serve, Nakiri Senzaman couldn't wait to take a bite. Wow, suddenly, the soft texture of this 1,000-layer cake shocked him instantly. Boom, just in an instant. Nakiri Senzaman got up from his chair, holding the rest of the board in his hand, feeling extremely emotional. Everyone was frightened by this state. Just in an instant, Nakiri Senzaman suddenly burst his clothes and exclaimed excitedly, "Delicious 1,000-layer cake! 35, this soft taste, the moment the upper and lower teeth bite, the sweet cream bursts out instantly. There is also a special lychee honey, which also spreads into the whole mouth, rendering my taste buds. I have captured my entire perception. I was unprepared and surrendered at this moment. Wow, wonderful taste, and the lychee pulp delicious." Before the entrance, I'd already warned myself to stay calm. I never thought that this cake, if I couldn't get it off my guard, would be out of control after all. I can't control the excitement of a 1,000-layer cake like this. 9 shocked all over. Kawashima Rei stood aside, not surprised, but envious. Because I was fortunate enough to taste a mouthful of lychee honey. The taste is so sweet that I can imagine how tempting this cake is. As long as she can taste this 1,000-layer cake, Kawashima Rei thought, she can put everything down. This exaggerated idea terrified her. At this moment, Nakiri Senzaman, who was agitated with a burst of clothes, suddenly became calm again. He saw that his cheeks were flushed, and his expression was extremely gentle. After eating the rest of the layer cake, I chewed it carefully and closed my eyes as I recalled. This cake calmed him down again. Let Nakiri Senzaman taste the taste of Zhang Jin's love, as if returning to the hot-blooded youth. On a mild, sunny afternoon, Nakiri Senzaman, a teenager, and his wife were leaning against the shade of a garden tree. His wife's head rested lightly on his shoulders, surrounded by the fragrance of lychees. And the sweetness of lychee honey to the heart is the age of ignorance and youth. Nakiri Senzaman, after eating this 1,000-layer cake made by Lin Fan, returned to the good times. This is incredible. In his heart, that beautiful memory is irreplaceable by all things. Lin Fan completely conquered the old man's taste buds. At this time, Nakiri Senzaman, who had come to his senses, was still not satisfied. But he still pretended to be calm and said, "Very good. Lin Fan's cooking skills are very good. In fact, if it weren't for process problems, it would have been with the fishing reels on the scene." Nakiri Senzaman may have given his vote straight away. However, he held back. Looking at the two judges around me, they are still immersed in the good old days. Nakiri Senzaman looked at the matching oolong tea. Picking up the cup of oolong tea, he said, "The practice of this oolong tea is very novel. I don't know after drinking it." Nakiri Senzaman didn't finish his sentence and took a sip. Whoa, once again, the pulp is poured in the head. The taste of the sea salt milk cover completely defeated the lychees in an instant and successfully occupied the taste buds. It's the sea. Nakiri Senzaman was excited again. Slightly salty and creamy on the lips. The key is that in an instant, the fragrance of oolong tea broke through the cream line of defense and arrived smoothly. At this time, lychee honey and lychee jelly were not to be outdone, and joined forces to form multiple tastes in the mouth. 35. The most powerful thing is that in the end, all of these are accessories, and they surround the lychee as the core from beginning to end. 5. It's amazing. It's really amazing. The old man has been in the food industry for decades, and it has never been like this. Saying that, Nakiri Senzaman looked at the delicate little wooden box again, then asked, "Is there anything custom in this wooden box?" Lin Fan smiled calmly. This is the last dessert in the lychee series. After speaking, Lin Fan opened the delicate round wooden box. Wow, suddenly bursts of pink dazzling light burst out from the wooden box. Immediately afterwards, the fragrance of lychees, as well as the fragrance of flowers, instantly hit the nostrils. Akakubo Momo on the side couldn't help but exclaimed, "This petal tastes like cherry blossom petals." Lin Fan nodded with a calm smile. Akane Kubo Momo was completely shocked. Where did the cherry blossom petals come from in June? The only possibility is that he used dried flowers. Then, after a burst of pink light that directly hit the girl's heart, the snacks in the small wooden box are proud to show up. It turned out to be a moon cake. In the transparent skin, the lychee pulp inside is vividly displayed. And in the middle of the transparent moon cake skin, there are also petals of cherry blossoms. Akane Kubo Tao exclaimed, "You actually used dried cherry blossom petals and combined it with lychee honey. How did you think of this layer? It has the same effect as my Damascus rose petals." Akane Kubo Momo was surprised over and over again. She has no idea why Lin Fan has these cooking skills. At this time, in front of Lin Fan, she was like a transparent person with no secrets, and she was clearly seen by the other party. However, looking back at this time, I saw the damask rose syrup made by Akakubo Peach, which was paired with the apple pie. How can there be one? There is no comparison sentence without harm. Suddenly, the exclamations of the three judges interrupted Akakubo Momo's attention once again. I saw the three judges after eating the crystal lychee mooncake. It was a taste improvement. The three of them flew up completely, delicious to its peak. There was an uproar off the field. I don't want to say anything now. What's the situation? Does Akakubo Momo still have an advantage at the moment? I'm curious. What exactly does this Lin Fan do? How can he be like a monster? Can do everything? I have to say, this lychee series of cherry blossom mooncakes, I can see the girl's heart overflowing. 35 strong, too strong. Is there anything Lin Fan is not good at or is not good at? At present, it seems that he is very good at everything. 35. How many winning streaks have you had? You have never lost. So what if you say you won or lost in a good match? This feels like a dream. I once thought that Akakubo Momo should be the chosen one to get this theme because he was good at it and he gave sub-questions. As a result, he was beaten by Lin Fan. If she took out her apple pie alone, it was still very powerful, but in Lin Fan's lychee series, I instantly felt, what is this doing? I can't believe it. My money is gone. No votes have been started, and the students off the field have already given their answers. Akakubo Momo's mentality began to collapse. This was so sudden, she felt like she didn't even make a move. Why did she fall into this field? Looking at Lin Fan, Akane Kubo Momo doesn't know what to do. If this is lost. Seeing this, Lin Fan smiled and said, Little Towsy, it's no big deal. 39. My Chinese Cuisine Research Society has grown a lot now. I'll be your master from now on, no loss. Wow. The students off the field also completely collapsed. Their senior sister is also the object of worship in their hearts. A goddess is the most sacred. However, at this time, they never dreamed that they would have an intersection with Akakubo Momo. As a result, Lin Fan said this, and such a bet came true. A student said, Akubo Momo looks like a maid. Lin Fan, I never dared to hope that it was given to me by Lin Fan. Akakubo Momo shook her head. Li Hao. However, 1 yardage is 1 yardstick. The 3 judges on the jury have already tasted Akakubo Tao's dessert in the episode just now. In the end, the 3 judges gave their decision. My vote is for Lin Fan, and the answer is obvious. Everyone can see the difference in this dessert. Nakiri Senzaman spoke calmly. One of the judges also said, Yes, in my previous perception, Akakubo Momo's desserts are very good. However, today, I don't know if she's acting out of order or what. Anyway, everyone saw Lin Fan's desserts. They're amazing. So I vote for Lin Fan. Another judge also said, The 2 said what I wanted to say, and I voted for Lin Fan. After Akakubo Momo heard this, she bit her puppet bear glove and looked at Lin Fan. You too much. Lin Fan smiled calmly. From this moment on, I am your master. Wow. And at this moment, the students on the field have not yet responded. A stern voice came out. The master is not the master. That is your private matter. And now, your opponent is me. What? This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 105. The surface so fine to thread and needle. 2/7 for subscription. Your next opponent is me. A stern voice interrupted Lin Fan and Akakubo Momo. Looking back, it was the burly third seat with a knitted hat, Totsuki Saryo. After he finished speaking, he slowly walked up to the stage. Akakubo Tao looked aggrieved and looked at him. Big man, you can't lose. Having said that, he glanced at Lin Fan helplessly. Lin Fan smiled and said, It doesn't matter if you lose or not. Remember that from now on. You must call me master when you see me. Akakubo Momo, you. Lin Fan smiled. Akakubo Tao pouted, made a face, and walked off the stage angrily. At this time, after seeing Akakubo Momo leave, Lin Fan regained his calm expression and looked at Totsuki Saryo. I heard your ramen dishes are amazing. Before Lin Fan could finish speaking, Totsuki Saryo picked him up. That's why I have to fight with you. Your ramen skills have been eaten several times, and I have a panoramic view. You are amazing. I don't have any worries. I don't think I'm bullying new students. There is no need to draw lots to decide the ingredients. Next, we will compete with ramen. 35 Totsuki Saryo's words were full of aggression. At this time, Kawashima Rei also followed. Seeing him smiling, he said, Totsuki Saryo's strength is very strong. This is really strong. 35 Even though I'm on this stage, the word has been said countless times, and in the end. But this time, it's really very, very strong. After all, the nickname Ramen Master is really not for nothing. The point is, he is honored by all the ramen shop owners in Japan as the Ramen Master, It can be seen from this, classmate Lin. Do you know the strength of Totsuki Saryo? Kawashima Rei spoke very seriously. Totsuki Saryo still had a calm expression on his face. He felt that even if Lin Fan was strong, he would not be able to match his ramen. No matter what, I have to really discuss with him and compare the level. This is to get back the status of ramen in the country. After Lin Fan heard this, he smiled and said, "It's okay. I don't think there is too much pressure. Who is the best, who wins, and who loses? We will only know after the comparison." Ramen, right? Yes, then you don't need to trouble the preaching classmates to draw lots. It's just ramen. 99 Kawashima Rei was stunned, and then embarrassedly said, "Then, the hour-long battle of eating halberds has officially begun? What's the price for the two?" Lin Fan said with a smile. In the beginning, wasn't the purpose of eating halberds just to convince these self-righteous and aloof council members? It's coming, and winning the elite 10 position is mine. Is it okay? After hearing this, Tofu Mejishima nodded and said, "There is no problem. I said at the beginning that if you lose, you will leave the council. I don't have any festivals with you, but I'm very interested in seeing your ramen dishes. So, I want to know between us, who wins and who loses?" Lin Fan nodded. Rei Kawashima smiled and said, "Then I announce that the hour-long battle of eating halberds will officially begin. 5, 2. Please grab, AAA, the only remaining ingredients. After all, a whole day has passed. 35, right now. The ingredients of meat, if it goes on like this, it will be even more stale. In addition, it is summer again. There is no guarantee that it will break. 2, please come on." After speaking, Kawashima Rei returned to a corner and stood there, watching silently. And the students, once again, discussed it. This time, it shouldn't be a problem, right? If Totsuki Mejishima is losing, then Kobayashi and Sure will be the only ones left. 99, I don't want Lin Fan to win. After all, this is our country's ramen against Chinese ramen. Yes, ramen in our country has always been very famous. I don't want it to be placed on Chinese ramen. Don't say depressing words. It's like making Mejishima Totsuki very weak, you know? Is it for nothing that Japan's ramen master is less? Yeah, this time, Lin Fan should be the one to blame. After all, the opponent is so powerful that he can't accept it. The students never stopped talking. Lin Fan didn't think much about it. His mind was stable, and he didn't have much bullying. In his eyes, even if they were blown badly, they would be able to defeat them easily. It's just that these people don't know it. Afterwards, Lin Fan walked to the ingredients area and glanced at the last remaining ingredients. Still took the flour and returned to the cooking table. On Mejishima Totsuki's side, as a ramen master, he naturally has to show his hand in front of everyone. Like Lin Fan, he took the flour and prepared to finish the ramen. At this moment, Kawashima Rei subconsciously walked in front of Lin Fan. The microphone came close to him and smiled. Lin is not the first time to make handmade noodles. 5, this time, what kind of approach will we use to brighten our eyes? After all, there are not many ingredients left to choose from. Lin Fan smiled calmly. Dragon beard noodles. Kawashima Rei said in shock. Dragon beard noodles? 55-inch. I seem to have heard of it, and it is also a very classic dish in Chinese cuisine. Lin Fan immediately retorted, "No, it should be in the Chinese ramen category. After all, one of the classics." Kawashima Rei didn't understand. Lin Fan said patiently, "Noodle dishes are a big category in Chinese cuisine. Noodles are widely used in northern China, but noodles have been used in many different ways throughout the country. Ramen noodles. Each region also has different practices, different ways of eating. In short, there are so many things to popularize here. There are soup noodles, stewed noodles, fried noodles, dry noodles, and so on. There's so many kinds. I can't explain it to you for a while. You just need to know every noodle dish is very classic, and longshu noodles is one of them." Kawashima Rei took a deep breath. She didn't know much about what she said, but it sounded very powerful. So, just nodded and said so. "Can we see the amazing white snake turning chain again?" Lin Fan laughed. "It should be possible." As soon as these words came out, the field was boiling. However, Totsuki Mejishima, who was beside him, also quietly glanced at Lin Fan from the corner of his eye. After all, the method of mixing noodles with Baluo snake's chain rotation is indeed too powerful. He also wanted to take this opportunity to watch it at close range. Then, while speaking, Lin Fan spread out the flour and took out the familiar wooden stick. Kawashima Rei held her breath. The students off the field also prepared their mobile phones and were ready to start filming, because they know what happens when Lin Fan spins the stick. Really, with Lin Fan slowly drawing circles in the flour. The circle is getting bigger and bigger from the inside to the outside. The speed was getting faster and faster, and the wind started to slowly pick up on the field. The students were amazed. Come here, it's the Bailuo snake turning the chain. This time I'm going to shoot it from the beginning to the end, and I'm going to go back and study it. 99, the wind is blowing, it's the Bailuo snake turning the chain. Although this is the second time I've watched it, I still can't hold back my excitement. It's true, the Bailuo snake turns the chain so far. It has not been recognized and surpassed, right? 35. Anyway, there is a lot of controversy in the food circle. The students were chatting wildly. Suddenly, boom, a loud bang. In that familiar scene, a giant python rose from the ground, twisted its body, and climbed on the wooden stick. Nakiri Senzaman's eyes widened. Although it wasn't the first time to watch it, seeing this Bailuo snake turn the chain again, he was just as shocked as the group of students off the field. There was a hurricane on the field. Kawashima Rei took the microphone, dragged the corner of the wall, and said with difficulty, I was already fully prepared. Thinking it can withstand this hurricane, I didn't expect it, I felt like I was going to be blown away. 35, Kawashima Rei tried her best, pulling the corner of the wall like a life-saving straw. After a while, the sudden storm calmed down. That white, smooth, elastic dough, sitting quietly on the cooking table. Then, see Lin Fan pick up the dough and make a dough, getting ready for the ramen. Originally, this was nothing. After all, Lin Fan is not the first-time ramen. Totsuki Saryo, who was on the side, also followed the rhythm of Lin Fan and was finishing his ramen. At the moment, everyone is guessing who pulls out the noodles tastes more delicious. When Lin Fan buttoned the noodles one by one button after another, the noodles became thinner and thinner. Rei Kawashima, who was closest, noticed something different. Seeing her approaching, she asked that, Student Lin, the way you pulled the face this time seems to be different from the previous one. If I count correctly, it should be a few more deductions than last time. To be exact, it should be 3 buckles. I saw Lin Fan repeat the button again and smiled. Because this time I pulled the dragon beard noodles. I want to make the thinnest and strongest dragon beard noodles in history. Thin enough to pass the thinnest needle at the same time. The first to react was Kawashima Rei. Cute dividing line, Chapter 106 Chinese Pasta. Well-deserved reputation. March 7th for subscription. The first to react was Kawashima Rei. Because the distance between Lin Fan is the closest, it is also the first to emit an abnormality. Kawashima Rei said in surprise, It's so thin that it can pierce a needle? No, it's so exaggerated. That's a face. 99 Lin Fan smiled calmly. Yes, not only can the needle be threaded, but also the thinnest needle, pay attention, still wearing it at the same time. Kawashima Rei looked at Lin Fan in surprise. However, the students off the field had the same reaction as Rei Kawashima. This kind of thing is too mysterious to say. How could it happen? Do you believe it? I kind of don't believe it. Although Lin Fan's Bailuo snake is very powerful, but the same method has been used 3 times in a row on the field. Therefore, it cannot be ruled out that there will be some Qinglong talents, exhausted. If it's according to the routine of creating a topic, indeed, maybe Lin Fan is trying to get attention. You guys are too brainless, aren't you? If that's the case, since he can't do it, why would he say such a thing and then let us take hold? You mean, is this true? It's true or false. You can't tell if you look at it, but I can't believe it. I know that Chinese dragon beard noodles, if you're a top ramen master, can indeed pull enough needles to thread, but the thinnest needles and several at the same time, this is a bit exaggerated. The students questioned. Kawashima Lee smiled and said, Look, I don't need to say it. Everyone has already asked for me. However, Lin Fan ignored Rei Kawashima's words. Then another ring buckled. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei was also very sensible and immediately changed her tone and said, "Hey, the buckle again? This is already the 10th deduction. I just want to check it out on purpose." In the current industry, a standard has been set for dragon beard noodles. 99. That is to say, the normal dragon beard noodles are 14 buttons. That is 16,384. 35, but I've counted it since the beginning. Lin Fan, plus the back and forth, has already deducted the 18th deduction. It's already very thin, and the students may not be able to see it. At this time, the dragon beard noodles are already very thin. But I'm afraid it's still a little far from being able to wear the thinnest needles. Are you going to give up, classmate Lin? And just after Kawashima Rei's voice fell, Lin Fan did not give up, but continued his consistent movements. Whoosh whoosh, the dragon beard face was in Lin Fan's hand, and it suddenly swayed as if performing. And every noodle in his hand seemed to be given life. Live in an instant. Noodles, like snakes, danced wildly, twisting and shaking in Lin Fan's hands. Wow. Everyone watched this scene and couldn't help clapping their hands. At this time, Lin Fan did not stop moving. Immediately after that, it was buckled again. The thin noodles, under the shaking of Lin Fan's palm, are really stormy. One more button, Kawashima Rei exclaimed again. My God, classmate Lin is still stretching noodles. It's already very thin. Shouldn't he really want to thread a needle? Lin Fan smiled and said, "You can have someone prepare the thinnest needle." Kawashima Rei was stunned, thinking that Lin Fan was joking. The students off the field were so excited that they roared. Go get it, I support the experiment. Nice. Let's see if it's really possible to thread several noodles at the same time. If it's really possible, Lin Fan is amazing. He said so. What are you waiting for? Get it now. That's right, bring it up, bring it up. Everyone shouted frantically and asked people to take the thinnest needle and test it on the spot. Lin Fan nodded indifferently. Kawashima Rei thought that Lin Fan was just for the atmosphere effect. So she said so. Didn't take it seriously. You know, wearing the thinnest needles at the same time is an outrageous thing to think about. How could a mortal do it? In order to avoid the embarrassment of Lin Fan, Rei Kawashima deliberately avoided this topic. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan took the initiative to bring it up and has already confirmed his eyes with her. Kawashima Rei nodded and said with a smile, "Then is the next moment to witness a miracle? Just trouble our staff. Bring the props up. Let's try on the spot. What Lin Fan said can be threaded at the same time. Is it true?" At this moment, Lin Fan buckled again. A full 30 discounts. At this moment, Lin Fan placed one end of the pulled noodles on the cooking table, and the other end raised his arm above his head. Start shaking gently. Whoa, whoa. It's like flying down 3,000 feet. Hair-thin noodles trembled under the spotlight. Startled, Nakiri Senzaman, who was on the jury, couldn't help rubbing his eyes. How long does it take to practice to achieve such perfection? This guy is simply too powerful. After listening to Nakiri Senzaman's words, the other two judges also kept shaking their heads. They also said that they have never seen such a shocking ramen scene. At this time, the relevant personnel have already brought the prepared needles to the stage. Kawashima Rei took in her hand and smiled. Lin Fan, do you really want to wear it at the same time? 5. I think it's already very powerful at almost 5. To make Lin Fan held the needle in his hand and shook his head with a smile. Kawashima Rei was surprised. More than 5? That 10. When she said this, Kawashima Rei obviously felt that she was self-willed. 10 ramen noodles, such a thin pinhole. How is it possible? Even if it can be worn, it will test the eyesight of the needle-piercing person too. Without saying a word, Lin Fan held the needle in his hand and smiled. If it's this thickness, 20 will be fine. 520 sticks. Everyone was almost in unison. The cameraman quickly trotted over with the camera in hand. Adjust the distance of a lens. On the big screen on the field, the camera directly hit Lin Fan's morning needle. Bro. Flower 00. Afterwards, I saw him count the noodles, 5 in total, and hold them in his hand. Under the macro lens, 5 noodles were easily passed through. Kawashima Rei exclaimed. It's really possible. 5 of them were pierced into the thinnest pinhole at the same time. Dear classmates, have you seen it? At this time, this needle is empty. It seems that half of the space is not used. 55 students can't wait to put their eyes under the screen. Everyone's movements were almost the same, leaning forward, as if doing so would allow them to see more clearly. Next, Lin Fan counted again and picked up 10 thin noodles. Everyone seemed to be watching a wonderful performance, for fear that Lin Fan would make a mistake, and their toes were clasped together. The atmosphere at the scene was very tense. Even Totsuki Saryo, who was on the side, couldn't help but secretly pay attention. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Lin Fan once again easily passed the 10 thin noodles in his hand. Kawashima Rei was shocked. It's passed on again. It's already 15 pieces. But under the camera, it seems to still be able to wear, and there are the last 5 pieces left. The atmosphere became more tense. Lin Fan's movements were skilled, and without waiting for everyone to hold their breath, he directly passed through all the fine faces. Wow, everyone took a deep breath in relief. Next second, pat, pat, pat. Everyone looked away, and it was Nakiri Senzaman who clapped. The old man said calmly, I have no reason not to applaud for such a wonderful cooking show. Gourmet food is not only to give the taste, but also the shock of the soul, and even the senses after entering the eyes. It is also an art. Lin Fan brings this art to the fullest. Awesome. I really admire it. 35 as soon as the words come out. After a moment of silence, pat, pat, pat applause. The spotlight is on Lin Fan. The halberd eating is not over yet, but Lin Fan at this moment, on the field at this moment, already has a signal of victory. Lin Fan is this moment, everyone's focus. No one was looking at Totsuki Saryo, the man who once held the title of ramen master. Everyone just thinks that this freshman named Lin Fan is really too strong. Next, Lin Fan's cooking has entered the theme. Fire up hot oil. When the oil temperature is moderate, put the dragon's beard noodles into the pot. Fry lightly and then remove. Then, put the dragon's beard face into the boiling water again. In just a moment, in the blink of an eye, a bowl of simple, steaming, and fragrant dragon beard noodles is completed. Pair with sight-ready seasonings. Lin Fan took his dragon beard noodles and strode to the jury. Superfine longshu noodles of Chinese cuisine. Please try it. Here is the cute dividing line chapter 107. Get the 3rd seat of Elite 10. Just like playing 4/7 for subscription. Lin Fan put the dragon beard noodles down. Hair-thin noodles floated on the clear soup. There were also a few chopped green onions sprinkled on the surface, and the steaming mist, the fragrance of the fragrance came to the nostrils. Even if there is no such attractive fragrance, the 3 judges are very curious about the dragon beard noodles. I can't wait to try and see what this amazing ramen tastes like. But one of the judges looked at the field subconsciously. To Totsuki Saryo at this time, the ramen has come to an end. So, one of the judges said, it seems that the dishes over there are almost cooked. So let's try Lin Fan's first. Nakiri Senzaman nodded. The 3 judges turned their attention to Lin Fan's dragon beard. While I picked up the noodle bowl, there was a strong aroma of meat with the fragrance of chopped green onion and vegetables. It's just such a simple bowl of noodles, and you can't stop just looking at it. First, Nakiri Senzaman stirs it lightly with chopsticks. Don't dare to exert force, for fear that with a little force, this hair-like surface will be broken. This way, the noodle soup is not perfect. Seeing 053, Lin Fan smiled and said, Senior, don't worry, you don't have to be so careful. This bowl of longshu noodles is not as fragile as you think. Nakiri Senzaman nodded, but subconsciously, he would keep his strength lightly. Pick up a pinch of, he pretended to be calm, but couldn't wait to eat the longshu noodles into his mouth. Kakaka in an instant. After the dragon beard noodles entered the mouth, it was obviously soaked in the soup, but it didn't have any soft taste at all. Even more exaggerated, Nakiri Senzaman, at the moment when his upper and lower teeth bite the noodles. With such thin noodles, you can still feel the inside of the crispy shell, but you can eat it with toughness. Q-bomb, smooth and very tough. The judge next to him was talking while eating. Nakiri Senzaman was surprised. The key is the soup base of this ramen. After speaking, look at Lin Fan. Lin Fan knew the old man's doubts. So he smiled and said, "Senior guested before, the soup base is big bone soup. Big bone broth." The three judges spoke in unison. Lin Fan continued, "Yes. You must be wondering, why did the big bone soup boil in such a short period of time, and why is this big bone soup so rich and fragrant, right?" The two judges nodded in succession. Nakiri Senzaman didn't say anything, but his eyes said it all, and he couldn't wait to know. Lin Fan went on to say, "Big bone soup, I already started preparing it when I started the first halberd meal. Because it was a small fire all the time, there wasn't a lot of water vapor coming out. And because the exhaust fan is always on, it is also because it is directly connected to cooking. It's normal for the flavors of other ingredients to overshadow it. It's full-bodied fresh. In each pork bone, I dug out the marrow and melted it into the soup. 55, it's been simmering for a whole day on a low fire again. So now the three of them are drinking, which is a super bowl bone soup that concentrates all the essence of the tube bone. Such a soup base with longshu noodles can only be the icing on the cake. It looks like an ordinary bowl of clear soup noodles, but in fact, all the essence is concentrated into this bowl of soup." The three judges, eating dragon beard noodles, did not want to comment at this moment. It's so delicious. At this time, Totsuki Saryo had already put his prepared ramen on the jury table. But the three judges seemed to be immersed in the world of ramen. Didn't notice at all. Totsuki Saryo didn't show much expression. After watching so many halberds, he already knew that eating is emotional, which is the characteristic of Lin Fan's cuisine. So, he was not surprised. Instead, I am confident in my own ramen. Seeing the judges gradually calm down, Totsuki Saryo said, "This is the African ramen I made. Please try it." Three judges put down the ramen bowls that had been eaten up. Looking at the African ramen made by Totsuki Saryo, the three judges were a little absent-minded. I kept thinking about Lin Fan's dragon beard noodles. How should I put it? In contrast to the dragon beard noodles, this African ramen from Totsuki Saryo will give people a sense of impact, both in terms of color vision and senses. Because the dragon beard noodles looks bland. But I wonder if you, as a ramen master, can also understand the meaning of this. Nakiri Senzaman spoke meaningfully. Indeed, Totsuki Saryo did not understand the meaning of the old man's words. But Lin Fan knew. The meaning of Nakiri Senzaman's words is very simple. That is, don't just focus on the outside. It is necessary to see more of the inner contents of the ingredients and bring them into full play. Obviously, Lin Fan felt that the ramen of this ramen master was not as good as the world touted. Putting aside Lin Fan's ramen advantage, he is already a loser when it comes to making this African ramen, the soul of ramen, Totsuki Saryo, but couldn't find it. Lin Fan didn't say anything, watching the three judges serving up the African ramen. It will be the seasoning prepared in advance. Put in the noodles and stir well. From a distance, Lin Fan could already smell the pungent smell of pepper in the seasoning. Finally, Lin Fan couldn't help but say, "Sometimes, not all the best ingredients are piled together to be the best." Totsuki Saryo was puzzled. Lin Fan added, "The ingredients are all good ingredients, and they are all made to the extreme. But it's all good things taken apart, and they're all put together. Who is good and who is bad? Who's stealing whose limelight?" After Lin Fan finished speaking, he shook his head and didn't speak. The purpose is also very clear. He doesn't want to spend too much time talking, and those who understand will naturally understand. I don't understand. It's useless to say more. At this point, the three judges began to taste zero. Take a sip. In an instant, the expressions of the three judges suddenly changed drastically. When the tongue touches the pepper, it is an instinctive reaction after being stimulated. Chew it carefully, taste it carefully, swallow it, and taste it again. Nakiri Senzaman said as he ate, "That's good, as expected of a ramen master." 99. This bowl of African ramen is really delicious and original. onions, celery, carrots, bell peppers, tomatoes. Served with lemon, garlic, and parsley. With pork belly, chicken, and big bones under the fire. In such a short time, the soup base of the ramen is boiled, which is very powerful. Totsuki Saryo had a sense of superiority on his face. After all, for him, these are all at your fingertips. Nikiri Senzaman continued. Not only that, but peanuts, garlic, scallions, ginger, and tomatoes are added to the stock to enhance the flavor. Point 35. The key is peanuts, and peanuts and other nuts are used. Elevate the taste of the soup to the extreme. This idea is amazing. Finally, there is the braised pork with ramen. Totsuki Saryo put a lot of effort into marinating it, then frying it, and finally showing it as a side dish on the ramen. 39 caraway seeds, paprika, garlic, as the sole sauce when eating ramen at the end. 35 The whole course of ramen, after the entrance, has many strange tastes. I have to say that it is very good. It's a brand new taste. Totsuki Saryo became more and more complacent. Kawashima Rei on the side was surprised. As expected of a ramen master, I am afraid that only he can think of such a combination of seasonings. Nikiri Senpai gave a very high evaluation. As soon as he finished speaking, Nikiri Senzaman continued. But, 0.0 there are buts here. The crowd took a deep breath. Nikiri Senzaman continued. If you don't have Lin Fan's dragon beard face, or your opponent is not Lin Fan. Point 39, then today, I'll vote for African ramen. Wow, there was an uproar. This sudden turnaround, everyone thought that Totsuki Saryo won, but never thought. Totsuki Saryo said in disbelief. Impossible. How could it be possible? 35 Nikiri Senzaman said calmly. Actually, Lin Fan has already stated the answer just now. But you didn't care. We don't talk about the production process of longshu noodles here. If you compare the way of making dragon beard noodles, you will lose even more. The soul of ramen. You and Jiguan have made the same mistake. Cute dividing line chapter 108 finally. Kobayashi Rentan appears. 5/5. You made the same mistake as Jiguan. Totsuki Saryo looked puzzled. How could he understand at this moment? His mind was full of disbelief. From the moment he played, he never thought that he would lose to Lin Fan. Even the students off the field are looking forward to it. What does this mean? It shows the students' recognition of him, which also shows his strength in disguise. However, it is such a strength. It was so inexplicable that he was defeated by Lin Fan. Even the judges' explanations were so vague. Maybe it was Totsuki Saryo, who didn't think about listening carefully at this moment. In a word, he is very anxious now. Dissatisfaction accounts for the majority. Nikiri Senzaman. It seems that the gap has reached the idea of Totsuki Saryo. Still with a calm and serious face, he said, "This bowl of ramen is nothing to blame. It is a success." 35 But I said just now that you made the same mistake, which means, have you forgotten the current month? Speaking of which, Totsuki Saryo suddenly realized 08. Seeing this, Nikiri Senzaman was a little relieved. After all, this guy has come to his senses, so he didn't say anything. Next, Nikiri Senzaman continued. In a season like this, each of us is actually a little anxious. However, Lin Fan's selection of materials is very easy. Light noodles, but the ingredients can be ordered without being light. It seems simple, but it is very complicated to make, especially the soup base of longshu noodles. 99. Only by simmering on a low fire can the essence of the big bones be simmered. In addition to the blessing of bone marrow, the most important thing is that Lin Fan has been cooking the big bone soup for almost a day. Just think, it's almost evening now. When did the morning come? He started cooking it from that time. After so long, the bones and the soup have become one. Here, the judges on the side nod. One of the judges continued. Not only that, I have the same thoughts as Nikiri Senpai. That is in terms of seasoning. Just now, classmate, you also briefly introduced the selection of materials. 35, to be honest, I haven't been able to write them all down until now. Onions, bell peppers, garlic, ginger, peppers, carrots, parsley, peanuts, paprika. Think about it. So many things are put into the soup. So what's your purpose of making the broth? Can you still taste the broth? These seasonings are a bit too much. There are so many that I don't know how to judge. Which one is delicious? It's because of the weather. This ramen would be delicious in normal times, but I definitely wouldn't eat it at this time. Because it's really not a good experience. After the judges finished speaking, they nodded to each other. At this time, Totsuki Saryo realized the problem. I thought about it calmly, whether it was what Lin Fan said just now or what the judges said. None of this makes sense. I was thinking about my own ramen, and then I was watching what Lin Fan made. Totsuki Saryo took a deep breath and said calmly, "Actually, aside from the ramen itself, I already lost to you when it comes to making handmade ramen. Seriously, your hand-pulling skills are amazing. Even when I was at the cooking table just now, I kept reminding myself not to pay attention to your handmade noodles. But I can't help myself all the time and want to take another look. Lin Fan, I have to say, you are really strong. How can you do anything? I want to know now. The teacher who taught you cooking must be very good, right? I lost. Convince yourself." Wow. The field is boiling. This is another Elite 10 who has voluntarily conceded defeat since Lin Fan ate the halberd. There are no better words to describe such a scene than incredible. Students are not balanced. It's because of Lin Fan's identity, a transfer student and a commoner with no background. From the day Lin Fan joined Totsuki, no matter how Lin Fan showed his great cooking skills, this group of rich second generation, born with a sense of superiority, could not accept that Lin Fan surpassed them. So, all along, no matter how amazing Lin Fan has done, this group of people can be selectively blocked, pretending not to hear or see, because they are unwilling to accept it from the bottom of their hearts. Without their superior Lin Fan since childhood, they will surpass them. This is the root cause of the collapse of this group of students in the stadium at this moment. After Totsuki Saryo lost, in the arena, at this moment, the screams were louder than any of the halberds lost. Lin Fan always looked indifferent. After all, he wanted these arrogant guys to fight one by one until they were completely convinced, and to stand on the top of the world's cuisine. At this time, Nikiri Senzaman interrupted the boiling in the arena. "Cough, cough, quiet. I don't think it's normal for you to react like this, but shame." As soon as the voice fell, the venue was instantly silent. Nikiri Senzaman continued, "Tsuki's halberd is that the strong are born and the weak are eliminated. That's what any student goes through. It's not because of your strong family background that you can do anything here. It is an indisputable fact that Totsuki Saryo lost to Lin Fan. If you can't accept it, then you can't accept the Totsuki system. Pack up and get out of here." Wow, Nikiri Senzaman's tone was sharp. The venue was quiet. It was so quiet that you could even hear breathing. The students did not dare to make sound. At this point, Nikiri Senzaman said 0-53. "It's up to me to announce the final result." After the continuous voting of the three judges, Lin Fan won Totsuki Saryo with 3 votes. And according to Totsuki's halberd eating rules, Lin Fan will replace Totsuki Saryo and officially become the 3rd seat of one of the Totsuki Elite 10. After the voice fell, the venue was still silent. No one dared to speak. After all, the great Demon King has spoken harshly, and no one dared to go against it. At this time, Nikiri Senzaman spoke in place of Kawashima Rei. Next, according to the rules, because Totsuki Saryo lost, it was Rindo Kobayashi who was the 2nd runner-up against Lin Fan. Of course, Lin Fan can choose to abstain at this time and terminate the next halberd. 39. You're going to miss out on the Elite 10 spot. Kobayashi Genshin can also, but if you're an Elite 10, you would choose to abstain in such a situation. Then it's really worthy of being in the Elite 10 position. So, you'll be famous by Elite 10 too. Then you choose. Lin Fan was the first to stand up and said, "How could I abstain?" 35. Cute dividing line, Chapter 109. The theme is pepper. But you were grinding beans? 1/5 for subscription. How can you give up? There is no giving up in my dictionary. Lin Fan said firmly. Nikiri Senzaman nodded, then looked at the VIP seats. At this time, Eizan Zhijin, staring at a head of purple-red hair, holding snacks in his hand, walked slowly to the stage. He didn't speak, just chewed his snack seriously. The little tiger teeth on both sides are particularly dazzling. Kawashima Rei stood up and said with a smile, Sister Xiaolin really likes snacks. Devidisit devid he. However, Kobayashi Jinshin did not speak. Still eating, Lin Fan looked at Lin Fan. In this way, he didn't want to talk much. He just focused on eating snacks. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei smiled and asked the relevant personnel to bring up the lottery box. Pretending to be serious, he grabbed a note from the box and came out. Take it out and open it up. Kawashima Rei looked surprised, looked at Lin Fan, and then looked at Kobayashi Jinshin. Facing the note to the camera, he was pleasantly surprised. The theme of this show turned out to be pepper. 35, it's unbelievable. Previously, Nakiri Senpai said that at this time of year, dishes made with chili peppers may not be pleasing. 99. Also, the halberd has reached this juncture. The most important thing is that the judges are probably tired. So, the difficulty of eating halberds may be higher. 5, after all. It's been a whole day sitting there. And although there's a break in the middle, I have eaten a lot of food. In terms of taste, I'm afraid it's also a little tired. And at this time, if the chili is well prepared, it can stimulate the senses and make people's eyes shine. If it doesn't match well, you all understand. Then, may I ask you too, do you have anything to say? Kawashima Rei looked back at Lin Fan and Xiaolin Rintan. However, Kobayashi Jinshin seems to care about the snacks on her hand. He kept eating. His mouth never stopped, and he pretended not to hear Rei Kawashima's questioning. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei, who was sensible, understood again. So he turned his eyes to Lin Fan. Lin Fan didn't have such a big air and didn't want this elementary school sister to be too embarrassed. So he took the microphone and smiled. I've always been serious about cooking. I do my best in every game. After all, I respect every opponent of mine. After listening to Xiaolin Rintan on the side, he turned back and smiled and took the microphone. I feel relieved with your words. In this case, I can use my strength to win you seriously, isn't it? Wow. In an instant, the field was full of gunpowder. Lin Fan smiled, didn't speak, turned around and went to the ingredients area. Kobayashi Jinshin followed closely behind. Food area. Lin Fan took a look, although there's still a lot of available ingredients, but they're always on this day. For the judges with tricky tastes, they will still be very concerned. In addition, the theme of this game is chili, and because of some external factors, Nakiri Senzaman made it very clear just now. Therefore, Lin Fan was thinking that if meat was used at this time, it would not be very pleasing. Use peppers rationally to make them fragrant, but not greasy. At this time, Lin Fan glanced at the beans beside him. Stay there in silence. No one cares from beginning to end. Lin Fan smiled lightly and had a good recipe in his head. So, I walked over, took a bag of soybeans, and rummaged in the ingredients area again. He turned out another bag of black beans and picked up some commonly used seasoning ingredients. Satisfied, I slowly returned to the cooking table. I met Kobayashi Jinshin halfway through and glanced at her ingredients, which was quite special. Kawashima Rei asked the gossip in an instant and leaned in front of Kobayashi Rintan. Wow. As expected of senior sister Xiaolin, who is good at making rare flavors, crocodile meat is used as the main ingredient. The crocodile meat is paired with chili. Just thinking about it makes me look forward to it. Kobayashi Rintan smiled, didn't speak anymore, and returned to the cooking area. Next, the two sides began to carefully handle the ingredients. However, this seriousness, the audience at the scene thought that there might be only Kobayashi Rintan alone, because Lin Fan on the other side at this moment saw that he was cleaning the beans seriously. Seeing this, Rei Kawashima hurried over in the spirit of Lin Fan's ability to talk to her more and to ask explosive information. Lin Fan looked up at her. Kawashima Rei showed a cute smile. Hey, student Lin, I'm here again. Saying that, Kawashima Rei pointed at the soybeans in Lin Fan's pot with a puzzled expression. You're glanced at the ingredients of classmate Lin. They are all vegetarian ingredients. Are you not going to use meat? Is it because of concerns that it is not new? But doesn't classmate Lin have a Garuda knife? Can it make meat ingredients fresh? Does that mean? Speaking of this, Kawashima Rei suddenly became surprised. Could it be that there's a special mechanism in the Garuda sword so that the ingredients can only be used once when they are fresh? Otherwise, how can Lin switch to a vegetarian diet? Rei Kawashima supplemented her brain while talking. Lin Fan looked at her and said calmly, "Hey, classmate, wake up, you think too much." Kawashima Rei looked puzzled. Lin Fan continued, "There is no other meaning in using vegetarian ingredients. It is just to change the taste." Kawashima Rei suddenly realized, with a well-behaved expression, nodded one after another. Then stand aside and watch Lin Fan process the ingredients. Rather than processing ingredients, it is better to watch Lin Fan wash the beans seriously. Over and over again, each bean must be carefully selected and cleaned by Lin Fan's hands. After cleaning, change to a basin of clean water and continue cleaning. A pot of soybeans was washed over and over by Lin Fan for about 10 minutes. For the past 10 minutes, Kawashima Rei just stood by and watched. Whenever Lin Fan has a new move, she thinks that the next step will be an amazing move. However, in fact it didn't. It was very easy to wait until Lin Fan cleaned the soybeans again and got up. Kawashima Rei was surprised and thought that Lin Fan was going to make a big move. Student Lin has already washed the beans for 15 minutes. Now he's going to break out in silence, right? Show everyone's eyes like it's like slashing the ox, the green dragon, the white snake turning the chain, and the 7-star instant breaking knife dance, right? 35 Kawashima Rei said expectantly. Everyone was brought to the rhythm by Kawashima Rei's words. They also looked at Lin Fan with anticipation, and even some students turned on the camera of their mobile phones and got ready to record. However, just under the watchful eye, Lin Fan didn't do anything surprising, let alone shocking his cooking skills. I saw him walking to the cooking table, replacing the soybeans with black beans, and then starting to repeat. Kawashima Rei exclaimed, "Washing the beans again?" 35 Lin Fan looked up and smiled. "Yeah, clean the beans. There's a lot of knowledge in cleaning beans. How to clean them, the amount of water, the temperature of the water, and the way of rubbing. These are all very important. Only thoroughly washed beans can be delicious." Kawashima Rei was incomprehensible, as she never gave up, always believing that Lin Fan was holding back her big move. Then he asked, "Then what kind of amazing food is Mr. Lin going to use these beans for?" Lin Fan still smiled calmly. "Tofu." Kawashima Rei was shocked. Her face became obviously disappointed and said, "Tofu? Student Lin, are you really not joking? You're eating a halberd with the Elite 10 right now. Sister Kobayashi uses crocodile meat. Just by looking at the combination of her ingredients, she must be shocked. Student Lin, are you really eating halberds seriously?" Lin Fan still kept smiling and said, "Yeah, I'm serious about eating halberds," calling Kawashima Rei's side. After it was over, he felt that Lin Fan might be the real Jianglang. It might be breaking a jar at the moment. However, the students off the field were even more talkative. Lin Fan is joking? Use soybeans and black beans to defeat Xiaolin's crocodile meat? It's not beans, it's tofu. No matter how well this tofu is made, the ground tofu is so powerful. Isn't it just tofu? I heard Lin Fan swear at the opening. I thought Shaolin was in danger this time, but I didn't expect. Nakiri Senpai said that you can give up directly, but giving up means giving up all your previous efforts. Maybe it's biting the bullet. That's really hard for Lin Fan. It's too hard. It's a dilemma when it comes to this. The students were talking wildly, but that didn't stop Lin Fan from cleaning the beans. Another 5 minutes passed. Kawashima Rei reminded. 20 minutes have passed since the hour stipulated by Shurji. At Kobayashi Senpai's side, the crocodile meat has already been processed, right? And Lin Fan. In these 20 minutes, he was keen to clean soybeans and black beans. Having said that, Lin Fan got up. Kawashima Rei was surprised and moved to Lin Fan with everyone's attention. Watch him put the clean beans back on the cooking table. Kawashima Rei nodded and said, "Now, Lin Fan should be serious, right? The voice just fell. Lin Fan did something again that made everyone speechless. What Chapter 110 Big Magic Panda Mapo Tofu is this a dish? 2/5 for subscription. Lin Fan put the clean soybeans and black beans back on the cooking table under the watchful eyes of everyone. I thought that the next he should end this boring cooking scene. After all, Lin Fan's live cooking has always been brilliant. However, just under the expectations of everyone, Lin Fan once again wants everyone to be disappointed. There are no fancy cooking skills and no exciting scenes from before. Lin Fan silently picked up the kwai wooden board. This is also what he removed from other kitchen utensils in the ingredients area. Lin Fan assembled these same-sized boards into a wooden box. Next, looking at the beans soaked in water, I guess it's almost time. This starts to grind the beans. Kawashima Rei was stunned and exclaimed, "Student Lin, don't you really want to make tofu by hand? Do it on site?" 99. The time is only 1 hour, and now there is still more than half an hour left. Are you sure you want to do this? It's not easy to make tofu now. Kawashima Rei really couldn't understand Lin Fan's actions. Obviously, there are so many ingredients to use. Why choose this very complicated one? Is it to embody technology? There are so many dishes to show. Not only Kawashima Rei had such doubts, but everyone present did not understand. What the hell is Lin Fan doing? It's okay to make tofu on the spot, but it takes so much effort. This kind of very complicated craftsmanship is not suitable for short-term use of halberds. For example, Eizan before just suffered from the cumbersome process. Yeah, and the opponent 053 in the halberd eating match is Lin Fan. He doesn't even know this, right? 99 foot. So why make such a low-level mistake? Or is there really something special about it? Then the ingredients section also provides top-quality tofu, isn't it? Does it mean that you have to pay attention to the extreme? I don't know. In short, I can't understand it. Such a troublesome process will definitely not be put on the halberd in a short time. Students express their opinions. Kobayashi Rintan looked up at Lin Fan. There are only 35 minutes left in the game. However, Lin Fan doesn't even have a prototype of the ingredients, let alone cooking after they are ready. Even Kobayashi Rintan expressed his incomprehension. He watched Lin Fan eat the halberd all the way, although it seemed unreasonable several times. But in the end, he was able to give a reasonable explanation. Lin Fan has his own rhythm every time he controls the ingredients. Only this time, Kobayashi Jinshin thinks that Lin Fan is a little overconfident. Even if Lin Fan can manage the time well, it must be a race against time, and there cannot be a single second of error. Otherwise, all efforts will be lost. Kobayashi Jinshin is pondering while processing the ingredients. Obviously, the only way to think of Lin Fan's actions is that he has controlled all the time precisely. Otherwise, nothing will make sense. Xiao and Jinshin became more and more curious. What amazing dishes can Lin Fan cook with tofu? Eat. Zitsi, the food processor, was still running like crazy. Grind black beans to make black soy juice. Lin Fan filtered the soy juice over and over and put it into a utensil. Looking at the time, there are still 26 minutes to the hour. Kawashima Rei just stood by and watched. He couldn't help but ask, "Lin Fan, is there enough time?" There are 25 minutes left. It takes time for tofu to form, and then the demolding time is counted if it is controlled within 15 minutes. You have less than 10 minutes left. Is it really possible to make a dish in 10 minutes? And the point is, I'm still optimistic about this time. If the tofu is formed and demolded, it will take far more than 15 minutes, right? Kawashima Rei said with some worry. In fact, it was not because of anything else she hosted all the way. I feel that Lin Fan's cooking skills are very good. If only because of this mistake, all the previous efforts will be abandoned. Kawashima Rei felt very pity. So, she doesn't want Lin Fan to fail. However, Lin Fan put the bean juice in the mold, raised his head and smiled. "Don't worry. As I said, it will be completed on time." Kawashima Rei nodded. Time passed by minute. At this time, on Kobayashi Renan's side, All the prepared ingredients are ready. Open the soup pot, and the crocodile meat that has been tasted in advance is also steamed out. The next step, she should be the finishing touches. At this time, Lin Fan, standing by the stove, looked at the utensils being heated on the stove. I don't want to ask anymore. I'm asking for nothing. Lin Fan is always very dismissive by saying, enough time. Even the judges on the jury stand couldn't hold back. Nakiri Senzaman, who has always been calm, also looked confused and didn't know what Lin Fan was going to do. Lin Fan, what the hell are you doing? It's dawdling, completely different from the previous style that was vigorous and resolute. In his experience, it's impossible not to know that time is running out. Unless, Nakiri Senzaman thought for a while, and then said, unless he wants to come up with something new. The two judges nodded in agreement. On the field at this moment, it has reached the white-hot stage. Kawashima Rei excitedly told the time. There are still 15 minutes before the deadline. Hey, Senpai Kobayashi, it looks like they're going to fry the crocodile meat. Lin Fan, Rei Kawashima, turned back and looked at Lin Fan, who was still standing by the stove, staring at his heating mold carefully. Lin Fan, this way? I'm a little clueless. Kawashima Rei didn't know how to explain it. Then, he turned his attention to Kobayashi Rintan, seeing that she has already started to put the ingredients into the pot. Bola, the crocodile meat, made a pleasant sound when it touched the boiling oil. Seasoning into pot, the fragrance burst out in an instant. Wow, in the venue, an intoxicating fragrance instantly exudes. The aroma is as hot as Kobayashi Genshin. This chili tastes amazing. Even though it's such a hot day, eating such a bite will definitely kill you. But it was made by Xiao Lin Senpai, and I'm willing to try it for her. 5 smell good. History is always strikingly similar. In the past, such advantages were all transmitted from Lin Fan. This time, the rhythm is reversed. Yes, Lin Fan is still staring at his mold. It's the end of the game. Could it be that his tofu was finished right after it came out of the pot? No way. If that's the case, it's too exaggerated. After all, there are no seasonings. Do you want to conquer the judges with the purest, most original taste of the ingredients? I can't understand. Anyway, look at his unhurried appearance. It's just a broken jar. I can't imagine how amazing his cooking can be. Don't panic. There are still 10 minutes. Maybe there will be a miracle later. Hope so. The students once again talked with gusto. Looking at Kobayashi Genshin cooking dishes, it is totally pleasing to the eye. The impressive appearance is coupled with the breathtaking cooking skills. The aroma of Kobayashi Genshin cuisine wafts throughout the venue. Before that, I could still smell the fragrance of the heated tofu in the Lin Fan mold. But at the moment, all the aromas come from this stir-fried crocodile meat from Kobayashi Genshin. It's so fragrant that everyone can't stop. The students even shouted unconsciously. Crazy cheers for Kobayashi Genshin. Even Kawashima Rei was infected by the atmosphere on the field. At one time, I thought that the winner of this halberd eating was Xiaolin Genshin. Subconsciously, Kawashima Rei was looking at Lin Fan and was still waiting nonchalantly. Kawashima Rei shook her head and said helplessly, "Student Lin, there are only 5 minutes left in the game time." 35. Are you really not going to deal with the formed tofu? If there are 5 minutes left, at your speed, I think it can be done. After all, when you were training, you broke Tsuki's record and became the student who made the most and the best food in 1 hour in Tsuki history. 99, Kawashima Rei said, while still holding out expectations. After all, a 5-minute Lin Fan could do a lot. However, there are still 3 minutes left. On the other side of Xiaolin Genshin, it is ready to be served. Nakiri Senzaman subconsciously clenched his fists. He hoped that the last minute, Lin Fan could give him a surprise. 1 minute to go. Kobayashi Genshin is being loaded. Rei Kawashima reminded. Student Lin, there is only 1 minute left. Lin Fan just smiled and said nothing. Kawashima Rei sighed. Nakiri Senzaman was still looking forward to it. There are only 10 seconds left. Kobayashi Genshin's cooking was done, and he was pleasantly surprised. Came in with spicy chicken flavor. Please try it. Kawashima Rei said excitedly. The time is up. Nakiri Senzaman sighed deeply. What a pity. Cooking skills are very good, and people are talented, but they are too arrogant. 99. However, Lin Fan turned off the stove and laughed. It's done. 35. Big Magic Panda, Mito Tofu. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 111, Will the Spicy Chicken Wind Cayman win? 3/5 for subscription. Big Magic Panda Mito Tofu. Everyone spoke in unison. Kawashima Rei was pleasantly surprised. Great magic? Do you mean to use magic? What about Panda Mito Tofu? Where are pandas? Lin Fan put on heat-resistant gloves and took the mold off. He wasn't doing anything else either. He was directly holding it to the judgment table. Everyone was surprised and couldn't figure out what he was going to do. Kawashima Rei also exclaimed, "Is this done?" It turns out that when it is heated in the mold, it is cooking. What will the tofu look like? I'm looking forward to it. Eizan Zhijin looked back at Lin Fan and saw that he calmly placed the mold on the judging table. At this time, the mold was still steaming out. Vaguely, you can smell the fragrance of tofu. However, the flavors are no match for her stir-fried cayman. Kawashima Rei hurriedly came over. On the jury, Nakiri Senzaman scrutinized this plate of cayman in a spicy chicken flavor. The exquisite ceramic bowl is full of red soup. The meat of the cayman loomed in the soup, and floating on the soup are the red peppers, and before I eat it, I already feel the spiciness that makes people fly. Nakiri first looked at the two judges next to Zaman and swallowed unconsciously. After all, this level of spiciness would not be required if it weren't for the theme. Whoever is doing it will not get good reviews. In lie, Lin Fan's cooking is wrapped in a wooden mold from start to finish, and it's impossible to see what's inside. Therefore, the judges subconsciously began to taste the dishes of Kobayashi Genshin. Put this spicy chicken-flavored stir-fried cayman out, and the whole small bowl is bright red. The judges could not help but salivate. I have to say, if you put aside the environmental factors at this time, but looking at this dish of Kobayashi Rintan, the strength is indeed there. The judges thought so. So, pick up a piece of crocodile meat and eat it. Kakaka after one entrance. This familiar feeling, pepper with a strong and unique taste, instantly stimulates the senses. The tongue is instantly full of spiciness. In just a few seconds, the entire mouth and even the taste buds were all occupied by the peppers. Seeing the three judges, their cheeks instantly flushed red, like a volcanic eruption, up to the top of the head. Spicy, this taste. It's spicy. So hot. One of the judges blushed and said excitedly. Another judge also said, "This taste, this texture reminds me of Lin Fan's stir-fried dishes before." The judge who spoke first quickly replied, "Yes, it is indeed the taste. This spicy chicken-flavored cayman isn't just spicy, it's delicious. It's really very fragrant. After entering the mouth, under the stimulation of pepper, it is instantly delicious. Fragrant, spicy, hot, hemp, crisp, fresh, 35. At this point, I can think of the words that could describe it, and more." Nakiri Senzaman was also slightly excited. Yes, the spices in this stir-fried cayman are very well matched. The key is how the crocodile meat is handled. After the special treatment of Kobayashi Genshin, the special taste of the crocodile meat itself has been handled cleanly. It really reminds me of the stir-fried dishes that Lin Fan made before. The handling has already reached the extreme. The judges complimented. However, Kobayashi Rintan on the side doesn't seem to be happy, because when reviewing her cuisine, the judges said that it was Lin Fan's cuisine. Even compared to Lin Fan's cooking, Lin Fan smiled and said, "Sister Xiaolin, I forgot one thing. Didn't you just say the price before eating the halberd?" After all, the results of the review have not come out yet, so it's okay to supplement now. After speaking, Lin Fan looked at Rei Kawashima. Seeing Kawashima Rei was stunned for a while, then thought about it again, and replied, "Theoretically speaking, eating the halberd is not over yet. If you forgot to say it before, you might have known about it before you voted. But if you two don't mind, you can add it now." Lin Fan looked at Xiaolin Rintan and said with a smile, "My requirements are not high if senior sister loses. Then it's the same as before. The black unicorn will have a free maid. Xiaolin Rintan was surprised when he heard it. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan actually told her this sentence. Kobayashi Rindo, who was about to stand at the top of Totsuki, felt insulted in an instant. Being a freshman, it's so disgusting. So, Xiaolin Rintan was angry, revealing her two little tiger teeth. My prize for eating halberds is to make you disappear. If possible, I would also like your black unicorn to disappear from Totsuki together. Lin Fan laughed. Are you serious? If the black unicorn disappears, the price just now is not enough. After all, the black unicorn after today, I have expanded its area by eating the halberd. 55, and the upfront investment is a lot of money. If you want to disappear, it's not enough just for the matter of Senpai's free maid. The two small tiger teeth of Xiaolin Jinshin became more and more obvious. It's Lin Fan's suit. Seeing her angry, she replied, Okay, what do you want? 35, what's the price? You said you invested a lot, right? There is an additional price. Your black unicorn will be valued by the school's professionals. If I lose, I will give you a lot of points. 35, that's the way it is. Don't worry, I can't lose. Kobayashi Jinshin said confidently and looked at the judges again. After all, you can tell just how successful the dish was just by seeing the judges' reactions. Now, even if she hates comparing her cooking with Lin Fan's, if you were sane, in Lin Fan's cuisine, when eating halberd before, the combination of spices was perfect. Therefore, Kobayashi Jinshin is somewhat preconceived. 0. As for flour 00, she thinks so she can't lose. Only when the halberd is about to end, not only agreed to Lin Fan's gambling conditions, but also added one. However, Lin Fan smiled even brighter and added, Sister, you forgot. Not only give me a lot of appraisal, you are still the free maid of the black unicorn. Kobayashi Renan looked at Lin Fan angrily. Kawashima Rei stood aside, slightly embarrassed. Because looking at the state of Lin Fan and Xiaolin Rintan, it is not a life-and-death halberd at all. Instead, it's like two couples bickering. Kawashima Rei hurriedly came back to her senses and said with a smile, Then, have the two of you been confirmed? If Shaolin Senpai loses, then Lin Fan will be allocated the corresponding cash valued by the black unicorn. And Kawashima Rei was a little skeptical, but still said, And senior sister will also become the free maid of the black unicorn. Wow. As soon as the words came out, I couldn't hold back anymore. After Akakubo Momo lost, this group of students, who had already collapsed, received critical damage once again. The worldview has all collapsed. Lin Fan, UBD, what the hell are you talking about? Shaolin, he is Shaolin Jinshin, my god. Maid, free maid. This kind of nonsensical condition of eating halberds, are all agreed? My god, how can the conditions for eating halberds be like this? I have learned nothing from Tsuki's studies in the past few years. Goddess, this is my goddess. It's outrageous. This request is outrageous. Even if Lin Fan won't lose, I hate him. I don't even dare to look directly at Xiaolin Rindan. This guy is, hey, all the male students, the inner world has completely collapsed at this moment. There is a mournful voice from the field. Angry, puzzled, unacceptable, helpless, all the emotions mixed together. At this time, with such mixed emotions, Nakiri Senzaman was ready to taste Lin Fan's dishes. The two judges set their sights on the mold. Lin Fan smiled and said, Everyone, are you ready? Next, we will start a wonderful food journey. The judges nodded, and after hearing this, there was still some expectation. The emotions off the field began to stabilize, and everyone subconsciously looked at the big screen. Lin Fan stepped forward and reached out to the wooden mold. On the mold, sandwiched the bamboo leaves. Lin Fan quickly took off the bamboo, leaves piece by piece. Whoosh, whoosh, kakaka. The moment the bamboo leaves were pulled out, the wooden mold also fell apart. The tofu in the mold instantly caught everyone's attention, and the appearance of this tofu surprised everyone. Cute Dividing Line Chapter 1:12 The Elegant Man, Eishi Tsukasa, has appeared. 4/5 order. In front of everyone, the tofu on this mold is different from the tofu that everyone knows. I saw that it was really like a giant panda with black and white lines. Boxy tofu, one layer of white and one layer of black. However, at this time, when people haven't had time to react, whoosh whoosh bamboo leaves pulled from the tofu instantly floated in the air. But the point is the tofu on the mold has changed. This whole piece of tofu cracked in an instant. From the crack, once again, a dazzling golden light burst out. However, this time the golden light was stronger and more dazzling. Even Nikiri Senzaman, who has always been calm and only gets excited when he eats delicious food, can't pretend that nothing has happened. The old man had no choice but to cover his eyes with his hands. But he couldn't help but want to find out, so he could only inquire through his fingers. On a whole piece of tofu, there are one after another cracks and one after another golden light. The light is so strong that I can't open my eyes. At this time, it was getting dark. This golden light directly illuminates the outside from the inside of the stadium, just like daylight. The security guards patrolling outside were taken aback, thinking it was an accident inside the venue. The students, too, covering each other and shouting 053. Hikaru, how is it luminous cooking again? However, this time the light is stronger than the previous ones. What's the matter? What did Lin Fan add to the cooking? Why is there such a special effect? I have a bad feeling that as long as Lin Fan's cooking emits such a strong light, the opponent will be in danger. You're right, it's as if Lin Fan lost in cooking that doesn't shine. Anyway, it's too strong, I can't see what happened, I just saw cracks in the tofu. And then what? Then? There's no more, I can't open my eyes, it's too dazzling. There was an uproar inside and outside the venue. Even the security guards and cleaners who passed by outside rushed to the venue one after another. Want to see what's going on? At this time, the golden light on the tofu gradually faded away. Everyone's sight slowly recovered. Those who saw things clearly realized that the cracks on the tofu just now had turned into small squares at this moment. The black and white tofu block suddenly moved, starts slowly from top to bottom, collapsing down, piece after piece. As if negotiated, each piece is black and white and arranged in an orderly manner. Just when everyone was so shocked that they couldn't speak. Everyone saw it on the bottom layer of the wooden box mold. Tofu is served on a ceramic plate. Surprisingly, red oil and soup suddenly overflowed from the tofu. This soup strongly impacted the senses of the judges, instantly captured their palate. Eizan Zhijin was stunned. He never thought that Lin Fan's inconspicuous wooden box had something in it. In the blink of an eye, a plate of steaming, red and appetizing tofu burst into everyone's sight. Nikiri Senzaman was stunned. Subconsciously, he quickly leaned forward, picked up the plate of tofu, and looked at it for himself. Really? Really Mito tofu? When I opened the mold just now, it was just a piece of black and white ordinary tofu that had been colored. How is it possible? How is it possible to turn into a plate of tofu in the blink of an eye? 35 Nikiri Senzaman said, rubbing his eyes. Incredible. At this time, the consciousness of the judges did not want to taste it for the time being. One of the judges said, Lin Fan, can you tell us about how was this magical tofu made? It's incredible. 35. Although my qualifications in the food industry are not as high as Nikiri Sr., but I am not small. But I have never seen such a magical cuisine. The other two judges nod their heads. After Lin Fan heard this, he calmly smiled and said, it's actually very simple. Haven't everyone seen it before? The key lies in the beans I grinded patiently and the inconspicuous mold. Everyone nodded one after another. Lin Fan continued. One of the keys to Mito tofu is not only to be numb, spicy, but also hot, right? 99, the crowd nodded. Lin Fan continued. Then the wooden mold is particularly important. Lin Fan said, picked up the mold and turn it over. The mold is made of wooden spacers, which are then crossed one by one to form a mesh. 35, and this mesh, that is, it can explain why a whole piece of tofu is cut into small cubes. Kawashima-rei interrupted, but what about the color of the tofu? And looking at this, the tofu is no different from stir-frying. Lin Fan continued. Then we have to talk about pork suet. Everyone said in unison. Pork suet? Lin Fan nodded and smiled. Yes, pork suet. First put a layer of pork suet on top, and then put a layer of white finished tofu on top. 5. I put another layer of lard suet, and another layer of black tofu, and so on. Oh, I see. Everyone suddenly realized and sighed in unison again. Lin Fan continued. The next step is to put the prepared tofu on the lid, and then put it on top of the heat-proof pot to heat it up. And at this time, after the lard inside is heated, it will slowly melt. The lard also creeps into the tofu over time. The moment the mold is removed, it means that the tofu is instantly cut. And then there's the sauce. This is what I prepared in advance. Just pour the sauce over the whole tofu from top to bottom at the moment of demolding. In this way, a plate of giant magic panda Mito tofu is ready. The 3 judges suddenly realized that they kept nodding their heads. Rei Kawashima clapped her hands and said, as expected of Lin Fan, thinking is not like us at all. How did you come up with this? It's amazing. I thought that he would not have enough time. After all, he spent too much time making tofu. 55. I didn't expect that the process of making tofu is the process of cooking. Awesome. It's really amazing. 35. And with soybeans and black beans, the tofu that comes out should have a very fresh taste. In this way, it will make up for it. In this hot summer, eating hot and spicy dishes produces a greasy feeling on the tip of the tongue. Lin Fan smiled and said, congratulations, Kawashima-san. You got the answer right. Rei Kawashima's expression is like a child who will be rewarded for answering the question correctly. Full of pride. On the other hand, Eizan Zhijin, who was beside him, did not look so good. His back was cold, and his forehead was sweating. Lin Fan's dish made her instantly feel the crisis. Just before the tofu was formed, Kobayashi Rin-in almost felt that he was about to win. Victory is in sight. I never imagined it would end like this. The win rate has dropped from 100% to 50%. Even more unacceptable than Kobayashi Jinshin was the group of students below, because the price of losing is Kobayashi Jinshin in maid outfit. Another mournful voice. In the sound of mourning, Nakiri Senzaman was the first to eat Mito tofu. After entering, boom, Nakiri Senzaman, as if standing under a volcano. With the spicy taste after the entrance, the volcano behind him erupted instantly. Hot magma erupts everywhere. Boom, another bang. Once again, Nakiri Senzaman entered a state where his clothes were bursting. This tofu has my strength once again. Mito tofu full of power. Compared with the stir-fry series made by Lin Fan before, it is completely 2 tastes. The spiciness is decreasing, the fresh aroma of chili, and the fragrance of tofu. This is Lin Fan's interpretation of chili. Yummy. I didn't feel greasy at all because of the chili. On the contrary, because it is tofu, such a vegetarian food makes me feel a different experience. 39, not greasy, that's the point. Delicious, so delicious. So that's why Lin Fan, why don't you use meat ingredients? Because of the current climate and the judges in the venue, because of sitting for a long time and tasting the food all day. 35, more or less, my tongue will get tired. However, at this time, if you're serving meat dishes, it will make the taste feel tired and even feel greasy. And because the current theme is chili peppers, it makes it even more difficult. 9. Lin Fan uses fresh beans, and all the freshly ground beans will be made into tofu. It's perfect, it's so perfect. The 2 judges around Nakiri Senzaman reacted exactly like him. The scene is very shocking. At this time, when Lin Fan looked at Xiaolin Rintan, she saw her step back. Looking at Lin Fan, he kept shaking his head. His eyes were full of horror. Xiaolin Longdan said tremblingly, Are you a devil? 35. Lin Fan smiled calmly. Congratulations to Xiaolin Senpai for becoming a member of the Black Unicorn. Next, voting time. Without a doubt, the 3 judges voted for Lin Fan without hesitation. Lost with reason. Even the audience off the field had no way to refute it. At this time, everyone in the venue turned their attention to the VIP seats. At this moment, the last remaining man of the Elite 10 Council, that elegant gentleman man, the White Knight at the table, Eishi Tsukasa. Lovely dividing line. Chapter 1, 13 Grinder. I have a Zhuanlong kettle, 5/5 for subscription. All eyes were on Eishi Tsukasa. With silver hair, gray pupils, a graceful and elegant appearance, and a very elegant manner. Lin Fan pushes all the way. It's finally time to eat halberds with Elite 10 Chief, Eishi Tsukasa. Suddenly, some students cheered inexplicably. I knew that I had made a mistake when I bought Mr. C. Now I know. Do you regret it? Lin Fan is really awesome. I also bought him a play against Eishi Tsukasa. Oh my god, didn't expect this kid to do it. As a freshman or a transfer student who has just been transferred, he can actually swept the Totsuki Elite like a bulldozer. It's horrible if Lin Fan wins Eishi Tsukasa. I can't imagine it. The students were chatting wildly. I saw Eishi Tsukasa in the VIP seat and got up from the sofa. Wow, this graceful and handsome action caused screams from the girls off the field, including Kawashima Rei on stage. With a narcissistic look on his face, he kept his eyes fixed on the front and slowly walked up to Eishi Tsukasa, who had come too. I saw that Eishi Tsukasa had a dashing gait and was very handsome no matter what angle he looked at. When he came to the stage, he saw him tugging at the tie on the school uniform with his hand, removed the tie, and put it in the white shirt bag. Wow. It was such a simple action that once again fascinated the girls off the field. At this time, Lin Jinshin, a small 08, still refused to step down. She couldn't believe it until this moment. She lost to Lin Fan. Seeing Eishi Tsukasa, he looked aggrieved and said, "See." Facing such a Kobayashi Jinshin, Eishi Tsukasa's eyes seemed a little wandering, even a little anxious. He didn't know how to deal with unexpected people and things except the ingredients. If it is a comfort ingredient, he can think of 10,000 ways in minutes. Facing the Kobayashi Jinshin in front of me, Eishi Tsukasa sighed helplessly, shook his head, and said, "I already said it. You should hold the idea of in the cooking you make. You don't need yourself. And as long as you study the recipes seriously and listen to the voices of the ingredients, it's enough. That's how to make good food, but, however, you all use cooking as a means of competing for power all day long. Eating halberds to eat halberds. The ingredients will be unhappy." After speaking, he shook his head and continued, "You go down first. Leave it to me here." After speaking, Eishi Tsukasa faced Lin Fan and said calmly, "Hello, Lin Fan. I'm Eishi Tsukasa, Chief Elite 10. We met a few days ago. 35. I didn't expect that your ability is so strong that you can pass all the way through and push you to the chief. I thought I was just here to gather people today. I never thought. In the end, I was the only member of the council left. 35. Although I usually don't like eating halberds, but this is the end of the matter. I won't give you water just because you are a freshman." 5. Eishi Tsukasa said, carrying the kitchen utensils in his hands on his shoulders, and his movements were very handsome. It caused the girls off the field to scream again. Lin Fan's attention was focused on the kitchen utensils of Eishi Tsukasa. So, he asked curiously, "Senior C, your kitchen utensils are quite special. What are they used for?" Eishi Tsukasa smiled gracefully. "This kitchen utensil like a knight's sword is my grinder. A normal grinder, just for truffles or cheese. 35. This one of mine can handle meat. You have to be careful." Lin Fan nodded and smiled. "Oh, so that's quite interesting. So, our halberd, the price of losing. Can we bet on the grinder in your hand?" Wow, there was an uproar. Lin Fan's remarks aroused the dissatisfaction of many people. "What? This guy's tone is too arrogant. Senior C, my boy is so rude. The grinder, that's like Eishi Tsukasa's right-hand man. Can Eishi Tsukasa agree? The high-ranking Elite 10 chief. Oh my god, this whole day today has completely subverted my 3 views. 99, Tsuki Elite 10, pushed straight to chief by a freshman. If Eishi Tsukasa is losing, The students were chatting wildly. Lin Fan looked at Eishi Tsukasa. Seeing him stunned, he immediately showed an elegant smile. "The price is my grinder? Then what does Lin have? If it's money, forget it. After all, I'm not short of that either. The point is, in my heart, my grinder is priceless. Eishi Tsukasa is still amiable and speaks gracefully. Without hesitation, Lin Fan blurted out, "Actually, I also have a very good cookware, of course, if you're interested. I can bet on this halberd. 99, your kitchen utensils can be ground quickly. Mine is more interesting. All the ingredients can be heated and cooked quickly." Hearing this, Eishi Tsukasa widened his eyes in surprise and said, "Really? There are such kitchen utensils? I'd rather see. And if that's the case, I'd be willing to exchange it with you as a bet." 35 Lin Fan nodded and smiled. "Yes, that can be taken out for you to take a look at. Later on, I'll use it for cooking too." Eishi Tsukasa was a little surprised. I saw Lin Fan turn around calmly, silently walked to the cooking area, and in the process of walking, he finally opened the system that had not been used for a long time. System. "Excuse me, host, do you want to convert 1 million cash into 1 million points for a Qinglong pot?" Yes or no? Of course, Lin Fan was very decisive and directly chose yes, walking to the cooking table. I leaned over and opened the kitchen utensils box that I brought. The purpose of bringing it is to be able to decorate things at a critical time. For example, at this moment, with Lin Fan's skill, he grabbed the mouth of the Qinglong pot and pulled it out. A kitchen utensil similar to a jar was instantly reflected in everyone's sight. Lin Fan held the pot and walked silently to Eishi Tsukasa. Eishi Tsukasa was shocked. Take a closer look at the dragon-turning pot in Lin Fan's hand. The body of the pot is completely formed by a dragon circling directly. The texture processing is very clear and fine. Just looking at it like this dragon is lifelike, like a real dragon in the world. And from the perspective of the pot, even if it looks a few years old, it does not prevent it from being dazzling. Eishi Tsukasa subconsciously exclaimed, This is the Qinglong pot?" 35 Take a deep breath. Whereas the kitchen utensils, this is obviously like a baby. Instantly looking at my grinder, it's like a toy. Lin Fan smiled and said, "How is it? You don't lose." Wow. In an instant, the scene boiled again. How many good treasures are in Lin Fan's box? Why haven't I heard of the Dragon pot? Does it really have such a magical function? Doesn't that sound like a heating pot? Could it be an old vintage soup pot? 35. If you want to say that, I also said that Eishi Tsukasa's grinder is a good-looking grinder. You can't say that. If it could be like this, it would be amazing. Wait and watch the good show, and watch 053 fight against the chief. Lin Fan is making a big move. This game of eating halberd is wonderful. Crazy in the crowd's crowd. Lin Fan confirmed once again. Will you bet or not? Eishi Tsukasa was a little flustered. For the Qinglong pot in Lin Fan's hands, even if he doesn't know how valuable this pot is. But just looking at it from a close distance, the pot exudes a breath of majesty, as if to protest against him. Eishi Tsukasa has a cowardly personality and is a little overwhelmed in an instant. The pressure of turning the dragon pot was overwhelming, making him breathless. Eishi Tsukasa felt short of breath, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. This pot, it's not something he can handle with just a little bit of Taoism. But facing Lin Fan's questioning again and again, Eishi Tsukasa took a deep breath and gently wiped the sweat from his forehead. After a long time to calm down, he glanced at the Qinglong pot again. Then he said calmly, "Okay, I promise you." Wow. There was applause from the audience, all supporting Eishi Tsukasa. But only Eishi Tsukasa himself knew that the kitchen utensils in Lin Fan's hands were oppressive at close range. This is where the students who are onlookers can experience. Lin Fan is definitely not as simple as they thought. A person who can control the Qinglong pot can withstand such great pressure. Or it would be a simple cook. Eishi Tsukasa swallowed his saliva, pretended to be calm, and looked at Rei Kawashima. Motioned to let him announce the start of the halberd. Cute dividing line chapter 114 in one breath. It's time for a decisive battle. 1/5 for subscription. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei was stunned and quickly reacted. Seeing her in a panic, she even peeked at Eishi Tsukasa from time to time. Taking a deep breath, he said, That's 35. This is the final match of the Elite 10 Council. The final match between Lin Fan and Elite 10 Chief Eishi Tsukasa. Wow. Pat, 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 because it was the last game, the applause was thunderous. Cheers, screams. Those who support Lin Fan and those who support Eishi Tsukasa are divided equally. They don't seem to be tired, just shouting and cheering from the heart. Lin Fan held the Qinglong kettle in his hand. Suddenly, Kawashima Rei felt an inexplicable sense of oppression the moment she approached the Qinglong pot. The pressure made her breathless. Afterwards, Rei Kawashima looked at Eishi Tsukasa in surprise and saw that his expression was calm. I was looking at Lin Fan again, and I was looking at the dragon pot again. Bang bang, Kawashima Rei's heart beat twice, as if it were beating a drum. The faucet on the Qinglong pot, the pair of sharp eyes, seemed to tell her that this pot is so sacred and unoffensive. Kawashima Rei took a deep breath, and she only understood at this time. Why did Eishi Tsukasa have a serious expression before, and even had a sense of admiration for the dragon pot in front of him? Turns out the answer is here. Kawashima Rei, who had sorted out her emotions, didn't dare to make jokes anymore. Seeing her seriousness, he calmly said, "Next, I will draw the theme of the final halberd in this game. And there's..." The two classmates have said just now that if Senior C wins, then the dragon-turning pot in Lin Fan's hand belongs to Senior. On the contrary, if the Senior loses, his most precious grinder will be handed over to Lin Fan. While speaking, Kawashima Rei picked up a note and opened it. After taking a look, he immediately exclaimed in surprise, "It's tea leaves." The theme is not the ingredients we know, but the tea leaves. 35. Tea as a theme is quite interesting. I was thinking, if Lin Fan presented tea leaves in a Chinese style, what would be the effect? I'm looking forward to it. Of course, every time Mr. C cooks is so elegant, like a work of art. 35. So, I'm also looking forward to Senior C's cooking. Okay, I officially announced that the hour-long duel of halberds starts now. Pat, pat, pat. Amid the bursts of applause again, the two slowly turned around. Holding the Qinglong pot, Lin Fan quickly walked back to the cooking table, put down the pot, then silently walked to the food area. Glancing around, it was already night, and Lin Fan didn't want to use meat ingredients. Even if he can make these, not too fresh meat becomes fresh. I don't want to touch it anymore. After all, after a day's cooking, these conventional ingredients are also very boring. So, still picking for most of the day, I saw Eishi Tsukasa on the side, already selected. After glancing at Lin Fan, he silently returned to his cooking area. Lin Fan carefully scanned the ingredients area again, suddenly found that in a corner there are some dry goods. In addition to dry goods, there are also wild fresh mushrooms. These mushrooms, because of the soil, don't matter if they are kept for a day or two, so it doesn't affect the taste. In an instant, Lin Fan had a rough prototype in his head. A very interesting dish. All of a sudden, Lin Fan has another very good idea in an instant. And this idea made his tired heart instantly ignite again. Since the other party is good at making art, then Lin Fan can never be behind him. Then, with a smile on Lin Fan's face, he started to choose the ingredients. Essential, of course, is the tea. Black tea, green tea, black tea, white tea, fresh matsutake mushrooms, asparagus, porcini mushrooms, tea tree mushrooms. However, there are also some dry goods paired with it. The rest, after scanning around, took the basic seasoning. Most importantly, grab a bag of flour. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei took a special look when she came over and saw the Qinglong pot on the cooking table. Then he said with confidence, "Lin Fan, are you going to cook noodles again? It looks like you still haven't chosen meat ingredients. It's been 2 games in a row. You haven't chosen meat. What's the reason?" 35. Really, because a kitchen knife can only be used once? It can only be used to freshen ingredients once? After hearing this, Lin Fan hugged the ingredients and laughed while walking. It's not like this. 35. That Garuda sword is the same no matter how many times you use it. Only, I personally don't want to use meat ingredients. It's nothing new. 99. I want to make an interesting one. Don't you all say that Senior C is the white knight at the dinner table? The cooking is very gentlemanly. And the cooking is also a work of art, so I also made a piece of art for you to see. Let this withered and boring eating halberd become a lot more interesting. With that said, Lin Fan quickly walked back to the cooking table. Kawashima Rei smelled the gossip and wanted to follow. But just after walking halfway, when I saw the Qinglong pot in front of the cooking table, I recalled the feeling of oppression before. Very uncomfortable. So just stopped halfway and didn't walk past. Watched Lin Fan from afar. Following this, Rei Kawashima turned his attention to Eishi Tsukasa. Seeing this handsome senior, the ingredients used at the moment are similar to those of Lin Fan. But he took more pork. See, though, that he's taking some of those veggies seriously. White asparagus, chickpeas, artichokes. Most importantly, Eishi Tsukasa also used boletus. This made Rei Kawashima, who has always been talkative, couldn't help but ask again, Senior C, can you tell me, what category are you currently working on? I saw that the ingredients you used are similar to those of Lin Fan. 99 Eishi Tsukasa raised his head and said calmly, but we are cooking two completely different styles of cooking. Kawashima Rei nodded hurriedly. Eishi Tsukasa continued, because I can hear the ingredients. They all tell me, even though Lin Fan's cooking skills are superb. Then I can also, through dialogue and communication with these ingredients, comprehend more amazing food. And these treats are given with love. After eating, you will feel the deep love. Kawashima Rei was instantly surprised. He froze in place, unable to speak for a while. Turning to look at Lin Fan again, I saw that he was still in a hurry, cleaning the tea leaves seriously. This time, Kawashima Rei is not questioning whether Lin Fan will finish the cooking on time. Lin Fan seems to be silently focusing on one ingredient again. Kawashima Rei said calmly. Then he continued, because of the lessons learned, I am no longer entangled in such pediatric matters. Lin Fan will never do anything unsure, right? We just have to wait patiently, and he will surely make amazing dishes like the giant magic panda, Mito tofu. Kawashima Rei said confidently. Afterwards, after seeing Lin Fan, he was still cleaning the tea leaves. Kawashima Rei still didn't think what would happen. In any case, Lin Fan will prepare the dishes before the deadline. 20 minutes passed. Kawashima Rei stood on the side, watching Lin Fan still washing tea leaves. And the washing is even more meticulous than before. What is exaggerated is that he turned into cleaning one by one. Kawashima Rei took a deep breath. Not to. This is a bit outrageous. Until half an hour later, seeing Lin Fan finally get up, Kawashima Rei was surprised. The students who watched, Li Hao of Li Hao, at the scene also let out a sigh of relief. Lin Fan finally got up and went to do other things. Just watching him wash tea leaves, everyone almost fell asleep. What everyone wants to see is how Lin Fan uses the Qinglong pot. Just as everyone opened their eyes wide, they watched Lin Fan walk towards the cooking table. I thought he was going to pick up the Qinglong pot, but he passed by without thinking. Lin Fan once again picked up the vegetables and began to wash them silently. The crowd couldn't bear it any longer and started talking. This time is even more outrageous than the last one. After all, I was making tofu, but this time I lost my mind. Yeah, I don't believe that Lin Fan deliberately procrastinated or couldn't finish cooking. 35. That's right, but look at him, he's still washing vegetables not cooked. Are you going to make raw mushrooms after washing them directly? Brother, stop joking. Are mushrooms ingredients eaten raw? Maybe they will go to the hospital. Then what is Lin Fan?
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.